Chapter 642 The Divine Eye Tribe. Beihan Holy Land. Creation Realm, Li Family. Since Li Ruotong succeeded the Beihan Holy Lord, the status of the Li family has also risen, and it is one of the top forces in the world. Originally, this was an extremely happy thing, but the atmosphere in the Li family was very tense. An elegant old man in a moon-white robe stood in the pavilion, looking worried, as if he was worried about something. He was Kanglang Jun, who secretly sent a message to Yi Junlin. At first, because Yi Junlin became the Lord of Heaven, Kanglang Jun was also very proud and happy. He told everyone that he had followed the current Lord of Heaven and was the most trusted follower of the Emperor of Heaven. During that time, all the powerful people with names who came to visit him would look at him with admiration and envy after hearing that he had a close relationship with Yi Junlin. This is much more awesome than being Li Ruotong's grandfather. You know, that is a great existence that saved the world and led all the cultivators to prosperity. It is not an exaggeration to say that he has created a new era. Being able to follow such a person, even as a servant, will enjoy supreme glory and face. Therefore, because of this relationship, Kanglang Jun has undoubtedly become the highest-ranking boss in Beihan Holy Land. The children of the Li family admire him to the extreme. Some children always pester him to talk about the glorious deeds with Yi Junlin that year. It must be said that during this period, Kanglang Jun lived extremely comfortably. Wherever he went, he was surrounded by people, like a star holding the moon. Originally thought that it would continue like this, but the good times did not last long. Some foreign cultivators broke into the Holy Realm a while ago and made trouble everywhere. Beihan Holy Land was also killed and made into a mess. Fortunately, his granddaughter Li Ruotong, risking her life, successfully survived the holy tribulation and became a saint. She sat in the Li family, which made those outsiders have some scruples and dared not to act recklessly. In addition, Yi Junlin used the law to suppress the enemy, which greatly shocked these outsiders, and the situation in Beihan Holy Land improved suddenly. However, one wave has not settled before another wave rises. A mysterious young man who claimed to be a member of the God Eye clan came to the door not long ago. He did not directly use force, but showed a friendly attitude and was very fond of Li Ruotong. Due to the other party's strength, Li Ruotong had to pretend to be polite and did not dare to tear his face easily. Kanglang Jun could see with his experienced eyes that the young man of the Tianren clan had no good intentions towards his granddaughter. He pretended to be elegant, warm and friendly on the surface, but in fact he was full of bad water and had ulterior motives. Until later, the other party finally revealed his true intentions. It turned out that he wanted Li Ruotong to follow him to leave the Holy Realm and go to his mother world to develop. At that moment, Kanglang Jun realized that this bastard was going to kidnap his precious granddaughter. Li Ruotong was naturally unwilling, but the opponent was very strong, so she could only try to stabilize the opponent as much as possible. In order to break the situation, she had to secretly hand over the exclusive communication light symbol to her grandfather and let him ask Yi Junlin for help. After the message was sent, Kanglang Jun was simply living a year, because he could feel that the patience of the young man of the Tianren tribe was running out. Once soft tactics didn't work, he would definitely use force. At that time, his granddaughter would be in danger. Senior Yi, you are the only one who can save my granddaughter at present. You must come, otherwise my granddaughter will be kidnapped by him. Kanglang Jun looked anxious and murmured with his eyes raised to the sky. On the other side, in the elegant courtyard, there were two figures, a man and a woman, sitting separately. Li Ruotong wore an exquisite hairpin on her head and an immortal dress fluttering. She was tall and graceful, with a white face that was exquisite and flawless, and pure and beautiful. As a Saint Realm cultivator, she is undoubtedly one of the top geniuses in the world, and in some ways, she is not inferior to Tong Wudi. Thanks to the great heavenly crown of the immortal Tao, plus the huge accumulation over the years, she successfully survived the Saint Tribulation and transformed into a true saint. It is no exaggeration to say that those who can break through from the realm of the immortal emperor to become a true saint in one go are all the proud children of heaven with unparalleled qualifications in the entire universe, and are worthy of being cultivated by the major Saint Tao forces. Originally, Li Ruotong felt good about herself. After all, there were only a few people in the world who could fight with her. Who knew that a group of foreign cultivators descended on the Saint Realm, and the number of saints alone easily exceeded 100, which immediately caused her a lot of pressure. Fortunately, after the legal order storm, many foreign cultivators have restrained themselves and behaved well in the Beihan Saint Realm. As a result, a young man who claimed to be a celestial race came to the door some time ago, and his intentions were very obvious. Li Ruotong was afraid to confront him due to her strength, so she could only suppress her inner resistance and disgust, and had been pretending to be nice to him these days. Sitting opposite him was a young man with long hair down to his waist, handsome, and skin as smooth and delicate as porcelain. He was wearing a dark green robe, and there were 2 hooks extending from his shoulders, like shoulder armor. The most striking thing was that there was a vertical gap between his eyebrows, like a third unopened eye. Shu Yaolan smiled and said in a gentle tone, "Ruotong, what have you thought about? As long as you follow me, you will have more resources for cultivation in the future. My hometown is the Holy Tao world, which ranks 4th in the Divine Court. It is more than 100,000 times stronger than staying here. The Divine Eye clan lives in the Heaven realm. Every member of the Divine Eye clan has their natural abilities coming from the third eye. Some can release healing powers, some have devastating destructive power, and some can form a protective shield that can offset attacks, and some can even predict enemy attacks in advance. In short, their abilities are diverse and their strengths are also different. Thanks to the characteristics of the Divine Eye, they have carved a bloody path in their early years, becoming powerful among all races in the starry sky, and their world has also ranked 4th in the Divine Court, with a very high status. This is also the source of Shu Yaolan's inner confidence. Even though he belongs to a side branch of the Divine Eye clan and his status in the clan is not very noble, but after leaving the Heaven realm, he can enjoy the great conveniences brought by his status, and many young and beautiful female monks are interested in him. To give him a hug, even those in the Holy Realm who were higher in cultivation than him would be wary of his identity and would not dare to offend him in the slightest. Shu Yaolan undoubtedly enjoyed this feeling, so he often wandered around outside, flirting with women, and playing games in the world. Occasionally, they can use their identity as the Divine Eye clan to seize some cultivation resources, but those grassroots monks dare not speak out. Now, when he learned that the holy world was about to be destroyed, Shu Yaolan, like many monks, came over excitedly, wanting to get a piece of the pie and eat human blood steamed buns. Looking at the almost perfect woman in front of him, Shu Yaolan's eyes flashed with passion. When they first met, he was astonished. Female cultivators of this level, both in terms of appearance and qualifications, are considered to be of a superior standard outside. If it were placed in the heavenly realm, he would probably have no share. Therefore, Shu Yaolan really wanted to get Li Ruotong. As soon as they met, he made all kinds of goodwill and courtship, trying to use his identity to get this top-notch product. At first, he thought it was not difficult. After all, he had learned from the past and could deal with an aboriginal from a humble background like Li Ruotong by reducing his dimensionality. But to his surprise, the other party did not accept his tactics at all. When Shu Yaolan was surprised, he was more excited because it was more challenging for him. Therefore, during this period of time, he was shameless and patiently continued to play the role of a handsome young man, hoping to slowly conquer the situation and finally win the beauty back. But as time passed, Shu Yaolan began to feel something was wrong. Li Ruotong's attitude has always been lukewarm, like an iron wall, making it difficult for him to find a breakthrough. At first glance, he talked about many topics, but the actual progress remained unchanged. This made Shu Yaolan, who had always had a sense of superiority, gradually lose his patience. Hearing the other party trying to persuade her again, Li Ruotong's eyes flashed with a hint of imperceptible disgust. Her red lips parted slightly and she said calmly, "Thank you Mr. Shu for your kindness. Please just ask Mr. Shu to call me Taoist friend. Li is afraid that others will misunderstand me." Hear the words, Shu Yaolan looked a little dissatisfied. This sense of estrangement really made him feel uncomfortable. "Ruotong, there is no misunderstanding. I am sincere to you, and heaven and earth can tell, how can it be fake? Besides, I really feel sorry for you to suffer in this place. If you go back with me, it will definitely be a disaster. There is a future and you will achieve higher than you are now." Shu Yaolan said seriously. Li Ruotong felt uncomfortable all over and felt very conflicted in her heart. If it weren't for her fear of the other party's strength, she would have raised her hand to suppress him long ago. Why would she still be abusing herself here? "I appreciate Mr. Shu's kindness. I am staying here very well and there is nothing wrong with it. I hope you will forgive me." In a few words, Shu Yaolan was blocked back, causing his newly brewing emotions to vanish instantly. Seeing Li Ruotong being so stubborn, Shu Yaolan felt angry in his heart and said in a deep voice, "Don't you know that this holy world is about to face a disaster? Juyu has officially issued a calamity-level order to destroy the world, vowing to destroy this world before giving up. If you stay here, you are nothing more than waiting for death. If you have such good qualifications, you should have a better place to go. I can help you get everything done, and you will have a brighter future. Ruotong, please believe me, okay. Speaking of this, Shu Yaolin clenched his fists, his eyes full of sincere friendship, and stared closely at the beautiful woman with a cold temperament in front of him. He wanted to use this to convince the other party. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 643 Falling Out. However, Li Ruotong just watched calmly, and after a while he said, Master Shu, please respect yourself. I have no intention of leaving. If you want to stay here, my Li family will entertain you with the highest standards, but I hope we can stop talking about the topic just now and let's all be well. Said, Li Ruotong stood up and was about to leave. Shu Yaolin froze on the spot for a long time, an indescribable sense of frustration welled up in his heart, and then he felt a sense of embarrassment and anger. He slapped the table angrily and stood up, shouting, Stop! The terrifying aura instantly escaped and enveloped all directions. Li Ruotong's inner alarm bells rang loudly, his hair stood on end, and he felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. Only then did she realize that she had underestimated the other party's level. He was definitely a strong man above the true saint realm. Li Ruotong knew that there was no way to retreat, so he simply turned around to face this young man who had broken his defense, and said coldly, Master Shu, what do you mean? Shu Yaolin simply stopped pretending, tore off the mask of hypocrisy, and sneered, You woman, you are so ignorant. Do you know how many people are rushing to get this quota? Now that this quota is in front of you, you not only did you not appreciate it, you refused directly, where did you put my face? Quote. Li Ruotong said neither humble nor arrogantly, I am very grateful that you are willing to help me, but I also have the right to refuse. Isn't this a conflict? Humph, this conflict is huge. Shu Yaolin sneered, I am willing to sit down and have a good talk with you. That is because I think highly of you. I have already given you enough face. Otherwise, with your strength, why do you think I would bother you like this? My patience is limited. There was a strong sense of threat inside and outside the words. Li Ruotong felt a chill in his heart, his eyes gradually became cold, and he could tell that the other party was afraid that he was going to be tough. Now that the trouble has reached this point, we can only hold the other party back as much as possible. This is an area under the jurisdiction of heaven. If you dare to go against me, the Lord of Heaven will not let you go. Don't forget, he used a decree to kill many of your foreign monks a while ago. Haven't you learned your lesson yet? Hear this. Shu Yaolin was startled, as if he had thought of something, and sneered, You mean that short-lived ghost? When the 9 Nether Alliance forces come in, he will be captured by those guys and sacrificed to the flag. Besides, his trick can only scare the weak. For a strong person like me, it's just a trick. Even if he comes here in person, I can make sure he never comes back. Shu Yaolin is full of confidence, which is his confidence as a member of the Divine Eye clan. With his status, when he went to a place like the Holy World, even the most powerful natives in the area would treat him with courtesy. He didn't believe that the Lord of Heaven would dare to do anything to him. What's more, his strength is even stronger than that of Ghost Sword Heavenly Sage. If a fight breaks out, he won't panic at all. It will be troublesome at most. Seeing that the other party had no scruples, Li Ruotong's heart sank to the bottom. In this case, as soon as she finished speaking, a surge of holy power erupted from her body, and a huge moon appeared behind her, releasing wisps of sacred and bright radiance. Her skin became as white as jade, and her ice-cold muscles and jade bones made her look like a walking figure. Moon goddess in the world. There is no doubt that after being promoted to a saint, Li Ruotong's aura of sacredness that cannot be profaned is even greater than before. Haha, you still want to resist me? Shu Yaolin, who had already expected it, sneered with disdain, and a greater holy power also burst out from his body, and he took a step forward. Boom! Li Ruotong felt as if he had been struck by lightning, with wisps of blood spilling from the corners of his mouth. He staggered back a few steps, and when he looked again, his beautiful eyes showed shock. As soon as they met, she was injured. One can imagine how big the gap in strength between the two sides is. I am very optimistic about you and want to take you out of this bad place, but you just don't appreciate it. You are not only rejecting me, you are also humiliating me. Shu Yaolin had a gloomy face and walked step by step. The holy power on his body instantly shrouded him and gradually blessed Li Ruotong. Li Ruotong had large beads of sweat on her forehead, and her face became paler. She could feel the terror of this pressure, as if she was carrying a majestic holy mountain on her back. It was so heavy that she could hardly breathe, and her backbone was about to break. Thump! In a moment, Li Ruotong was forced to kneel down on one knee, and the ground rumbled and collapsed like a spider web. The huge Li family felt the strong shock, and countless clan members were horrified. Haha, this is the difference between you and me. I can kill you easily, or I can make you successful. If you choose the latter, everything will develop in a good direction. As long as you follow me, I can give you a better life. Quote. Shu Yaolin stood with his hands behind his back and spoke in a high tone. He felt that he had broken down the other party's psychological defense and could tame this stubborn woman in just one move. Unexpectedly, Li Ruotong still refused to give in. He looked straight away with an unyielding look in his eyes and gritted his teeth and said, I choose the former. You. Like a bolt from the blue, Shu Yaolin froze on the spot with his head buzzing. He didn't expect that even though his life was threatened, this woman was still unwilling to give in to him, as if agreeing to his request was a huge insult and shame. To know. In the past, all he had to do was reveal his goodwill, and a large number of young and beautiful female cultivators would be excited and follow him for nothing, hoping to achieve a level leap. As a result, there is actually a woman who would rather die than date him. For Shu Yaolin, this was a spiritual critical strike 10,000 times greater. Pain. It hurts so much. Shu Yaolin was furious, his handsome face was extremely distorted, and a strong desire for revenge surged into his heart. Death. It's too cheap for you. How can I bear to kill you, a rare thing like you? I will imprison your holy source and play with you to my heart's content in this place, so that your tribe can see it. In their minds, the proud ancestor is just a dirty bitch to me. When I get tired of playing with you, I will take you away and sell you to a slave trader at a perfect price. From now on, you will be a slave girl for others to play with. This is what you will get if you offend me. The words were filled with deep malice. You beast. Li Ruotong felt chills all over her body, frightened and angry. She wanted to fight with all her strength, but found it difficult to even stand up. Sadness suddenly emerged in her heart. Are you really going to fall into that situation? When she thought about the dark and humiliating life that would follow, she might as well just die. Haha, you asked for this. Seeing this woman having such strong emotional fluctuations for the first time, Shu Yaolin felt extremely happy in his heart. Just when he raised his hand to seal Li Ruotong's holy source, an extremely powerful aura suddenly came here, causing his movements to pause, and there was an inexplicable sense of warning in his heart, as if there was something wrong. A terrifying ancient beast is eyeing him. Who? Shu Yaolin looked subconsciously, his eyes particularly alert. A handsome young man with long silver white hair reaching his waist and an ethereal temperament stepped forward with an unprecedented aura. His appearance directly resolved Shu Yaolin's pressure. In an instant, Li Ruotong no longer felt the pressure, and his whole body became extremely relaxed. When she saw the familiar silver-haired figure walking directly in front of her, she was so shocked that her breathing almost stopped. With a smile on his face, Yi Junlin stretched out his hand and said gently, Fellow Taoist Li, do you need help? Seeing this, Li Ruotong subconsciously stretched out her hand to pick it up, and then was helped up. Feeling the delicate touch of the palm, she couldn't help but lower her head, and a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. This strangeness was also noticed by Shu Yaolin. Others were dumbfounded and found it unbelievable. What's going on? I am a member of the Divine Eye tribe, born in the fourth world of the Holy Tao. During this period, I frequently showed my kindness to you, but in the end, you would rather die than appreciate it. Now that a man appears, you hook up with him. Shu Yaolin couldn't stand this kind of differential treatment. He was so angry that he was shaking all over. He stared at the silver-haired figure. Suddenly, he felt more and more familiar as he looked at it, as if he had seen it somewhere before. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. Shu Yaolin's pupils suddenly shrank, he stretched out his finger and said, Wait, are you the Lord of Heaven? Chapter 683 You or Nothing. Yes, that's right. Yi Junlin was very interested, looking carefully at the handsome young man in front of him. After he received the news from Lord Kanglang, he directly used the cross-domain teleportation array to instantly teleport to the Northern Han Sanctuary. When he approached the Li family, he felt an extremely powerful aura, and he came immediately without hesitation. Here, I saw the scene in front of me. Li Ruotong looked at the stalwart figure standing in front of her, and all the past events came to mind, giving her an inexplicable dreamlike feeling. She once regarded him as an opponent, and she wanted to take on him in everything because she refused to admit defeat. Unexpectedly, the other party shocked her again and again, and finally reached the point where she could only look up. Now, the other party is already the supreme leader of the entire world, the hope for countless monks to survive. Regarding this, Li Ruotong felt not only admiration, but also an indescribable emotion. The reason why she has not found a Taoist partner for a long time is simply because she has a strong personality and extremely demanding requirements. At that time, there were almost no men who could meet her standards. What she wanted was a feeling of being conquered, and Yi Junlin always wanted to being able to turn danger into safety and turn the tide. She also went from initial dissatisfaction, surprise, appreciation, worship, to admiration. Especially in the face of Shu Yaolin's threat, Li Ruotong originally lost all her strength and means and fell into absolute passivity. At this critical moment, Yi Junlin's appearance was like a ray of dawn cutting through the darkness, which undoubtedly brought huge consequences to her. Hope. This feeling of being given a helping hand in a desperate situation was very profound at that moment. It directly caused the emotion hidden in Li Ruotong's heart to be awakened and became stronger than ever before. After Shu Yaolin confirmed the identity of the other party, combined with Li Ruotong's change in attitude, a huge anger surged in his heart for a moment, and he felt as if his dignity had been severely trampled on. Haha, it's really you. If you don't stay in your heaven, why are you here? Shu Yaolin was full of hostility and sneered. Yi Junlin smiled playfully. It's not because some idiot harassed my friend that I made a special trip here. Li Ruotong pursed her lips and smiled, but when she thought that she was just a friend in the eyes of the other party, a look of disappointment flashed across her beautiful eyes. Hear the words. Shu Yaolin was so angry that his face was red and his neck was thick, and all the veins were popping out on his neck, which was very scary. He laughed angrily. I come from the famous Divine Eye clan, and my world is ranked 4th. The gap between you and me is simply immeasurable. Where did you get the confidence to be so presumptuous with me? Shu Yaolin took out his own identity and tried to suppress the opponent's momentum and win face. Unexpectedly, Yi Junlin was startled and said disdainfully, I have killed races stronger than yours before, you are nothing. This is indeed true. After all, along the way, all the creatures from the Light clan, the Immortal Vampire clan, and even the Asura clan have fallen at his hands. The Divine Eye clan can only be ranked behind. What did you say? Shu Yaolin was furious. The vertical gap between his eyebrows flowed out wisps of dark purple light, exuding a soul-stirring and strange aura. The Shenyang tribe has always been a symbol of his dignity outside, but now they are being devalued by a native. I want to ask, how can he tolerate it with his temperament? The sky suddenly darkened, heavy black clouds pressed over the top, and an extremely depressing and terrifying aura filled the Beihan sanctuary. When Yi Junlin came down to the Li family like a god from heaven, Kanglang Jun noticed it immediately. However, due to the awe of the momentum, he did not dare to get close with his cultivation level. Seeing this scene now, his heart suddenly trembled. Great Ancestor, is this about to start a fight? A group of clan members said in a panic. Lord Kanglang forced himself to calm down. After all, he was still very dignified in the family on weekdays, and he couldn't let his guard down at this moment. He raised his hand and shouted, don't panic. As long as the Emperor of Heaven is here, that extraterrestrial creature can't cause any trouble. That's right, the tribesmen nodded. When they thought of the power of the Lord of Heaven, their hearts were filled with stability and trust. At the same time, sensing this powerful cultivation aura, some of the outside monks who were waiting for the opportunity in Beihan Sanctuary changed their expressions and cast shocked glances in the direction of the Li family. What, you want to do something to me? Yi Junlin's smile was intriguing. Just what he wanted. I know that you are very powerful, and you have killed the Ghost Sword Heavenly Sage before, but if you think that you can act unscrupulously in front of me with this, then you are totally wrong. As he spoke, Shu Yaolin rose into the sky like a comet, with surging holy energy soaring into the sky. Mysterious holy patterns quickly spread on his body, exuding a terrifying power. In terms of cultivation and strength, he is indeed much stronger than the Ghost Sword Heavenly Saint, enough to rank at the pinnacle of the Heavenly Saint realm. Today I will destroy you, the so-called Lord of Heaven. A loud, cold voice echoed between heaven and earth, carrying a strong murderous intent. Shu Yaolin raised his hand to seal the secret, and his face suddenly dropped with a cruel expression. Boom boom boom, a huge object similar to a disc was spinning rapidly, surrounded by endless runes, emitting an overwhelming holy light, and there was also a faint chanting sound that affected the soul, which was intoxicating. This is his top-grade heavenly sacred artifact, called the God Roulette, which can make the target die in sinking. Under Shu Yaolin's full force, unimaginable power exploded. Li Ruotong was shocked when he saw this scene, and found that he still seriously underestimated the opponent's ability. Even if he is lucky enough to break through and become a true saint, he is not even qualified to resist a move against an opponent of this level. Haha, it looks like that. Yi Junline's eyes contained expectation, and a system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding, it has been detected that the host is attacked by enemies at the 9th level of the Heavenly Saint. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering strong ones, and obtains the cultivation level of the 10th level of the Heavenly Saint. Close black lens bracket. In an instant, Yi Junline's body erupted with a domineering aura, and every inch of his skin was like casting of immortal holy crystal, flowing with bright divine brilliance. The next second he raised his hand and clenched it into a fist. Golden holy patterns appeared on the surface of his arm. The golden holy energy seemed to be entangled in substance, and the power in his body was dozens of times more terrifying than before. Break it for me. Aiming at the huge millstone rumbling above his head, Yi Junline swung his fist straight away. The light from his fist was as brilliant as the holy sun in the sky. Fighting holy fist. Then, under Shu Yaolin's horrified gaze, his divine roulette was bombarded to pieces by a huge force, and fragments of the sacred weapon flew all over the sky, shocking him beyond measure. How is that possible? Shu Yaolin lost his voice in shock. He didn't expect that Yi Junline's cultivation level was better than his, but that was not the point. The point was that his high-grade heavenly holy weapon was shattered by a punch. How amazing is the power of this punch? Thinking of the punch that had hit him just now, Shu Yaolin couldn't help but break into a cold sweat and feel chills running down his spine. Yi Junline clicked his tongue and said, "This thing of yours is not very hard." Li Ruotong seemed to think of something, his face turned red and he pursed his lips. "You." Shu Yaolin recovered from the shock and looked at the silver-haired young man with a completely different look. This destructive power is simply a monster. He has every reason to suspect that even the best heavenly sacred artifact can't resist the opponent's attack. Chapter 684 I deserve it. In this case, you forced me. Seeing such a strong opponent, Shu Yaolin felt like he was riding a tiger, but fortunately he had the strongest trump card, which was his proud racial talent. In an instant, the vertical gap between the eyebrows suddenly opened. It was a dark purple vertical pupil, exuding a very strange aura, and it was staring at Yi Junline underneath. Haha, just die. Shu Yaolin opened his third eye, his face full of cruelty. Invisibly, Yi Junline felt possessed by some strange aura, and terrifying black flames began to appear all over his body. The fire became more and more intense. The most terrifying thing was that this black flame was not an ordinary flame. The burning power contained in it could even threaten a person. Ancient saint. Li Ruotong was shocked and wanted to cast a spell to suppress it, but found that there was no way to do it. It seemed that a little contamination could make her irreversible and destroy her body and soul. Haha, this is the power of my divine eye. Once someone is stared at, they will be haunted by the weird black flames until they die. With your cultivation, it is impossible to suppress it. Shu Yaolin said with a cruel smile. It is worth noting that there was a thin stream of sweat on his forehead, as if opening this ability was not easy for him. Looking at the blazing black flames on his body, something strange flashed in Yi Junline's eyes. Not to mention, even with the strength of his body, this black flame still hurt him a little. If it continued to burn like this, it would really be very distressing for him. Stand at attention without any shadow. Faced with this problem, Yi Junline decisively used this magical power. In a moment, his figure became insubstantial, as if he did not exist in this world. He could not be harmed by any attack, could not be selected, and could not be touched. Taking advantage of this gap, Yi Junline ducked in front of the opponent. At this moment, his body became as solid as before, and the originally burning black flames disappeared without a trace. This sudden change made Shu Yaolin, who was laughing originally, seem to be choked. His laughter stopped suddenly, his eyes almost fell out of his head, his expression looked incredible, and he subconsciously blurted out. "Fuck, are you surprised? Are you surprised?" Yi Junline smiled playfully and punched out, blasting the air along the way. The fist released a blazing golden light and struck Shu Yaolin's chest. The power of this punch was beyond imagination. Bang! Shu Yaolin's chest was punched directly, blood sprayed out and fell to the ground, forming burning marks. Shu Yaolin's mind went blank as he stared at the smiling silver-haired young man in front of him with disbelief on his face. He was shocked that he would lose so quickly, and even more shocked that the other party actually dared to kill him. After all, he was a member of the Divine Eye clan. Don't be nervous and take a deep breath. It's normal to feel dizzy. Yi Junlin smiled gently, and his tone seemed to be comforting, but in fact it was like the god of death urging his soul to die. You, Shu Yaolin felt the rapid passing of life force in his body, his pupils gradually blurred, and a huge feeling of regret emerged in his heart. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have come to this damn place. Suddenly, a corpse fell down and landed heavily in the courtyard. This was not over yet. Yi Junlin skillfully took out the human emperor banner and began to summon the souls extremely professionally. He quickly collected the soul of the other party into the banner, and then he put it away with satisfaction. Very good, this wave has another strong player. This scene made countless monks watching the battle dumbfounded. After a brief silence, the scene erupted into cheers. The Emperor of Heaven is mighty. The Emperor of Heaven is invincible. The Li family members raised their arms and shouted with enthusiasm on their faces. Kanglang Jun secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said with an arrogant expression, "Did you see that? I have long said that there is no need to panic. After all, I have followed the Emperor of Heaven for so long, and I know his strength best." As soon as these words came out, the people behind him were full of admiration. Li Ruotong was very surprised. She did not expect that the battle would end so quickly. The man was still as strong as ever. Yi Junlin raised his hand, dug out the holy source from the corpse, and handed it to the stunningly beautiful woman in front of him. "Here, don't waste it." Li Ruotong was stunned and quickly waved his hand to refuse. "Fellow Taoist Yi, you came all the way to help me, how dare I ask for your loot? It is true that this is the heavenly saint-level holy source. If she can successfully refine it, it will be of great help to the growth of cultivation. But after all, they were here to help her, so how could she have the nerve to ask for this trophy?" Yi Junlin smiled and said, "I understand what you mean, but you don't want it for free. This thing is of no help to me now. Besides, Tianting is in the hiring stage. The stronger you are, the more important it will be. The most important thing is that your qualifications are very good. Hi, it is worth focusing on cultivating. In return, just work hard in the future." Saying that, he handed it to the other party. Looking at what looked like a crystal core in the other person's hand, Li Ruotong was deeply moved and was completely impressed by Yi Junlin's personality charm. It is no exaggeration to say that if Yi Junlin puts forward any conditions at this time, no matter how excessive, she will be willing to comply. When it came to this point, Li Ruotong also knew that it would be bad if he refused any more, so he simply accepted it. "Thank you, Taoist Yi." Li Ruotong took the holy source and gave a solemn salute. At this moment, she had completely entrusted her life to the other party. "No need to be so serious." Yi Junlin smiled. In the entire heaven, apart from Tong Wudi, he is most optimistic about Li Ruotong. This woman has a strong mind and a firm willpower. She has laid an extremely solid foundation as early as the immortal level. Now stepping into the holy realm is like a hidden dragon emerging from the abyss. The future is unlimited. Possible. This alone deserves his attention. Yi Junlin didn't know why, but he always felt that cultivating a few more powerful geniuses would play a vital role one day in the future. "Senior Yi." At this time, an old voice familiar to the thief sounded, with excitement in it. Kanglang Jun ran over, rubbed his hands, and smiled at Yi Junlin. "Senior Yi, do you still remember me? I am Xiao Dezi." "Yi Junlin, you think I have a bad memory, right? We were separated for only 2 or 3 years, and I have forgotten who you are." "Bullshit, of course I remember you. I heard you lived a happy life in the Li family." Seeing that there was no barrier in this person's attitude, Kanglang Jun felt a warm current in his heart and said happily, "No matter where I am, I always miss the days when I was by your side. If you still need me, I will immediately go to heaven with you and continue to serve you." Yi Junlin suddenly felt a headache and rubbed the center of his eyebrows. "That's not necessary. I'll call you when I need something." Lord Kanglang puffed up his chest and said solemnly, as if he was determined to accomplish his mission, "Li is always at your disposal." Seeing her grandfather being so attentive, Li Ruotong, the granddaughter next to her, was speechless but helpless. But she had to admit that her grandfather's ability to reach this level of relationship definitely provided the Li family with the biggest backer. After all, there was no one in the entire holy world who could be more powerful than the current Lord of Heaven. It is precisely because of this that the Li family is called by the monks in the holy world as the only super wealthy family that has a close relationship with the Lord of Heaven, and its prestige is sky high. When the Li family members saw this scene, instead of feeling disdainful, they were extremely excited and their eyes were shining. What the great ancestor said before was indeed true. He really had a close relationship with the Lord of Heaven. Awesome, so awesome. Feeling the countless looks directed at him mixed with admiration, Lord Kanglang couldn't help but raise his head, a look of pride on his old face, giving him a feeling of elation. At that time, the outside world thought that he had no brains. He clearly had a granddaughter in the realm of the immortal emperor, but he did not enjoy his life and had to work as a cow or horse for others. Now that he has reaped huge rewards, who dares to say a bad word about him? I, Li Yud, have accumulated virtues and done good deeds throughout my life. I deserve the treatment I receive now. Chapter 685 Alarming everyone. At the same time, the influence of this battle also spread quickly. After all, the commotion was not small and attracted the attention of many cultivators from outside the domain. Everyone, something big has happened. One of our extraordinary heavenly saint-level strongmen has fallen, and the one who did it is the Lord of Heaven. Who is it? He is so impulsive. Don't you know how to be patient for the time being? Can you believe that the man is a member of the God Eye clan? From the upper heaven realm. What? He is actually a strong man from that big world. I seem to recognize him. His name is Shu Yaolin. Anyone who is stared at by his God Eye will be burned to death by the strange black flame. He is a very powerful heavenly saint-level master. Hiss, what a joke, even he died in the hands of the Lord of Heaven. Is this man really that powerful? For a while, after learning the inside story, those cultivators from outside the domain who were stranded in the Holy Realm were extremely shocked. If the previous legal order turmoil still made them fearful and afraid to act rashly, then Shu Yaolin's killing refreshed their understanding of Yi Junline's strength and shocked them. For them, Shu Yaolin's background is not small, and his strength is unquestionable. Especially the strange third eye, which made many veteran Tiansheng-level strongmen very fearful. Compared with the figure of Ghost Blade Tiansheng, he is much stronger. However, such a strong man with both strength and background was killed by a native in this world. This is undoubtedly a very loud slap in the face for these self-righteous foreign cultivators. It would be a lie to say that they are not afraid. After all, who among them dares to assert that they are more powerful than Shu Yaolin? In this case, this group of foreign cultivators who originally had the hope of picking up leaks seemed to be deflated, and no longer had any nostalgia. They left the Holy Realm disappointedly. After all, as long as Yi Junline is here, they can't make any waves in this world. All they can do is avoid the sharp edge. What's the point of staying here? It's better to leave as soon as possible to avoid being involved and becoming a burial object. Humph, I admit that the human race surnamed Yi is not easy to mess with, but can he defeat the Nine Nether Army in the near future? When the Nine Nether Army arrives, the whole world will fall into darkness. All the creatures here will be bloodbathed. Let's wait and see. Wait for the destruction of the heavenly court. Almost no cultivators from outside the domain chose to stay in the Holy Realm and wait for death. Seeing that there was no advantage to be gained, they all returned in disappointment. Before leaving, they did not forget to make a harsh statement and stepped on it, hoping that this world would be destroyed as soon as possible. The news that the Nine Nether Alliance was going to invade the Holy Realm also spread like a storm, and the Heavenly Court could not hide it even if it wanted to. The cultivators in the Holy Realm were originally very happy, but after learning the news, their mood suddenly became extremely bad. Have you heard? There will be a war later. This time the scale is even bigger than before. The extraterritorial force called Juyu is determined to destroy our Holy Realm. What are you afraid of? Fight with those beasts. I am a member of the Holy Realm in life and a ghost of the Holy Realm in death. Damn it, they are forcing us to a dead end. Don't panic, everyone. With Emperor Yi Tian leading us, we will definitely win this battle. In the past, the monks of the Holy Realm would definitely fall into panic. After all, they have also seen the horror of extraterritorial creatures and know that there is a huge gap in their cultivation. But now Yi Junline's various operations have greatly inspired people's hearts and made the majority of the monks in the Holy Realm confident. They feel that as long as the Lord of the Heaven Court is in charge, the Holy Realm may not be without hope of winning. That's right, the current Yi Junline has become a spiritual pillar for the majority of the monks in the Holy Realm. However, in this situation of impending storm, a very small number of people in the Holy Realm are still worried and have strong doubts about whether the Heaven Court can protect the Holy Realm. The first to bear the brunt was the Satya Saint monk, who was known as the Buddha Emperor. Before, because he had subdued Yi Junline's Mount Akun, the Satya Saint monk was exposed and was beaten up. He made a fool of himself in public and lost face. Later, when Yi Junline became the Lord of Heaven, the Satya Saint monk felt very uncomfortable. He announced to the public that he was in seclusion, but in fact, he was so uncomfortable that he didn't want to go out and see people. Knowing that the 9 Nether army was about to attack the Holy Realm, the Sakya Saint monk keenly smelled a hint of unusual meaning. This Holy Realm is probably going to die. He didn't want to stay here and wait for death, and he was resentful of the Lord of Heaven and didn't want to work under him at all. Taking this opportunity, the Sakya Saint monk wanted to leave this world, find another place, and join other forces. However, it was really troublesome to settle down in an unfamiliar place. Just when the Sakya Saint monk was feeling anxious, 2 monks with special identities came to visit him. One of them was tall and the other was short. They had a strong Zen charm and colorful halos hanging from the back of their heads, which was a bit sacred. They called themselves the Buddha clan and came from the Western Heaven realm, the second largest holy Tao world in the divine court. The reason they came was because the Sakya Saint monk himself was one of them. A long time ago, there was an internal struggle within the Buddha clan faction. When the young Sakya Saint monk was young, he was forced to be sent to an unknown small world by his elders. Many years later, the factional struggle finally ended. The elders of the Sakya Saint monk won and held a high position. The other party remembered the child who was teleported to the outside world that year, and began to expend energy to deduce continuously. It was not until a while ago that he realized that the spearhead was pointing at the Holy Realm, so he sent 2 disciples to take him away. After hearing their explanation, even the Sakya monk found it difficult to digest such a huge amount of information. Because it sounds so damn mysterious. No wonder he had a strong interest in Zen when he was young, and he made rapid progress in cultivation. He could easily master all kinds of Buddhist techniques, and his talent in this area was simply maxed out. Soon, he reached the ceiling of that small world, and then ascended to the immortal realm, which is the predecessor of the Holy Realm. He also made rapid progress, killed many competitors, and grew up to become the leader of Buddhism, known as the Buddha Emperor. The root cause was that he came from the Buddha clan. Through careful understanding, the Sakya monk knew the situation outside and the horror of the Buddha clan. The Buddha clan is a super powerful clan. Everyone in the Western Heaven realm where they are located believes in Buddhism and practices Zen. There are countless worlds under their command, all of which believe in Buddhism. In the current Shenting realm, the only one who can suppress the Buddha clan is the Taoist clan, and the world where the Taoist clan is located is the largest world in the Shenting realm, with a transcendent status. As for the Holy Realm, it can't even enter the top 1000 at present. It is a small holy world that has just developed. Amitabha, since the 2 senior brothers have come to guide the junior, then the junior will go to the Western Heaven with you. The holy monk Sakya folded his hands and said leisurely. He was so happy in his heart. He was just worried about having no place to go, and someone took him to the Western Heaven. This was simply a pillow sent to him when he was sleepy. I, Sakya, really have a connection with Buddha. Junior brother, you are talented and intelligent. Even in this backward world, you can still condense the Prajna Buddha heart. When you return to the Western Heaven, with the help of holy water baptism, reshape your body, and improve your wisdom, your achievements will definitely be higher than the 2 of us, and it is not impossible to become the next generation of Buddha. The tall monk said with a smile, with a little flattery in his words. The Buddha is the most outstanding leader of the younger generation of the Buddha clan, and is expected to become a candidate for the Lord Buddha. After all, the holy monk Sakya has a complete heart of Prajna Buddha, which is cultivated in the Buddha clan. Moreover, his origin is not simple, and his elders are in high positions in the Buddha clan. Although he is a senior brother, he only has this advantage, and he is not as good as the other party in other aspects. It will be good for his development if he builds a good relationship early. This is wrong. I think my junior brother has the appearance of a Buddha lord. The short monk was not to be outdone and flattered enthusiastically. What is a Buddha lord? That is the ruler of the Buddha clan in the Western Heaven. His words definitely raised the holy monk Sakya to a very high position. Chapter 686. Run away with the bucket. Hearing his companion's words, the tall monk's eyes widened with a look of disbelief on his face. Grandma meets Buddha, you really dare to say it? Even the Lord Buddha was treated. Sakyamuni was stunned, with a smile on his face. Amitabha, these 2 brothers are really ridiculous. It can be seen that he has great potential and a promising future. Junior brother, time waits for no one. Let's get on the road quickly. The short monk said with a smile. That's fine. Sakyamuni nodded and took another look at the 10,000 Buddhist sect. His thoughts fluctuated for a while, and he was filled with emotion. He knew that there was no point in staying any longer. It was a pity that this Buddhist tradition would be destroyed with the arrival of Juyu's army. Junior brother, don't worry about it. Everyone has their own destiny. With your qualifications, this world is like a prison. It's better to escape as soon as possible. The tall monk was about to speak to persuade, but the short monk preempted him and flattered him. The former looked angry, displeased. Sakyamuni's eyes flashed, and he sighed with compassion. Hey, the poor monk is also powerless. When he goes to the Western Heaven realm, he must practice hard and strive to avenge them as soon as possible. This is the only thing the poor monk can do. It's good, it's good. This excuse makes me feel at ease, and the hypocrisy and double standards are fully reflected. Junior brother is so merciful and compassionate, he really has the heart of a bodhisattva. The tall monk saw the right opportunity and hurriedly chatted, not forgetting to glance at his companion next to him, looking proud. Hey, finally got a win. Subsequently, Sakyamuni left the holy world without saying goodbye and set foot on the ancient starry sky road to the Western Heaven realm with 2 other monks. Not long after, they realized that the current abbot had mysteriously disappeared, and the leaderless 10,000 Buddhist sect quickly fell into panic. The elders of the major factions were fighting for the abbot, and they were fighting fiercely. The 10,000 Buddhist sect has since fallen into decline. Facing the threat of the Juyu army, the overall atmosphere in the holy world was somewhat solemn and depressing. A very small number of monks are thinking about how to run away, unwilling to stay and live together. Some even beg the outsiders to be taken away with them, just to survive, even if they become slaves. In fact, this phenomenon occurs everywhere. No matter how united the holy world is, there will always be people who are greedy for life and afraid of death. They want to escape from the battlefield and run away with buckets. If it weren't for the heavenly court supporting the scene, in the previous era when the immortal court was ruling, facing this situation, the holy world would have become disoriented and gone their separate ways. In the vast land, a figure in feather robes with a devilish aura sat cross-legged on the cliff. He slowly opened his eyes, with a strange light flowing in them, and said solemnly, "The 9 Nether Army is trying to destroy the holy world. Should I leave or stay?" A few years later, Yu Washeng's cultivation is no longer that of the immortal emperor back then. Now he is a genuine saint, even one step away from the heavenly saint. Apart from Yi Junlin, it can be said that no one else can be promoted at this speed. Even Tong Wudi, the son of destiny, is his younger brother. This is the horror of the demonic embryo transformation art. Since the immortal world transformed into the holy world, the environment of heaven and earth has become thousands of times better than before. This undoubtedly gives him an excellent devouring condition. Of course, this is not the most critical. If he only relies on this, he will not improve so much, quick. In the final analysis, it was all thanks to Yi Junlin. Yu Washeng was surprised to find that every time Yi Junlin ended a battle, it was a good opportunity for his cultivation level to greatly increase. He only had to clean up the battlefield and pick up corpses. You must know how many semi-saints and true saints had fallen in the previous battles. This was all it's the nourishment for the demon fetus. Although the effect of devouring corpses that have been dead for a long time will be greatly reduced, the quantity is too large and the quality is not enough to make up for the quantity. After this back and forth, as the nutrients provided to the demon fetus become more and more abundant, the cultivation level of the feathered creature also increases. From the realm of immortal emperor, soar all the way to true saint. This kind of flying speed of improvement made even Yu Huisheng feel like he was dreaming. He was absolutely sure in his heart that this was his opportunity to rise. When the time comes, nothing could stop him. If I leave the holy world, where can I find such a good thing? Maybe I can make a bet that the man named Yi can turn the tide and kill everyone like before. Once the bet is right, there will be more strong people. Their corpses are for me to devour. As a professional corpse collector, Yu Wansheng knew the importance of picking up corpses behind him. He owes his current status to Yi Junlin, who was the key to his crazy improvement in cultivation. If this idea were to be known to monks outside the area, they would regard Yu Huisheng as a lunatic. Faced with a calamity-level world-destroying order, not even a Saint King-level expert can guarantee that he will be able to escape unscathed. Destroying this newly emerging world is like using artillery to swat mosquitoes. It is a fantasy to expect a mere heavenly saint-level expert to be able to withstand such a vast offensive. It's simply impossible. In fact, Yu Wansheng didn't know the value of the era-level world-destroying order. He was just affected by what happened before. The huge temptation occupied the remaining sanity in his mind. Now, he only hopes that the Juyu army will be defeated by then, and it is best if they all die. This is not a change of position or a discovery of conscience, but Yu Huisheng's choice of the side with greater interests. Thinking back to the beginning, he lurked fearfully and kept cooperating with Juyu's missions, just to find a good future for himself. But the truth turned out to be cruel. As the only internal agent, he still couldn't get the respect of Juyu's strong men. During this period, he was extremely humiliated and ridiculed. This feeling of frustration left a deep impression on Yu Washang. He knew that even if he worked like a slave for Juyu, in the eyes of those big men, he was just the lowest-ranking person and could be abandoned at any time. He had no choice before, but now he just wanted to counterattack. Now, Yu Washang saw a way to quickly improve his cultivation, which was to follow Yi Junlin to pick up corpses and strengthen himself by madly devouring the corpses of the strong. Why didn't he do such a good thing? Therefore, Yu Washang's position changed. In the past, he hoped that Juyu would quickly occupy this world and give him a higher status, but now he disdained such a small favor. He just wanted to become stronger. Become stronger. Yi Junlin, I hope you won't let me down. I've put my life and property on you, hee. Yu Washang laughed the exclusive laugh of a big villain, and his whole body was filled with boiling demonic energy. 1,000,000 miles around is a desolate land. Looking around, rivers are dry, trees are withered, and white bones can be seen everywhere, a dead and terrifying scene. Who would have thought that this was a large forest full of vitality, inhabited by immortal birds and beasts? Dongsheng Holy Land. There is a top magic force called the Fire Worship Demon Sect. All the magic monks in the world know its existence and regard it as a pilgrimage site, with awe and yearning. The leader who rules the Fire Worship Demon Sect is the current leader of the magic, and is recognized as the strongest in the magic. Church headquarters. On the holy mountain, a red figure with extraordinary temperament stopped and stood, with his hands behind his back, looking at the top of the cloud. Just looking at the appearance, it is hard to tell whether it is male or female, with a delicate and beautiful face, white and rosy, and a vermilion flame mark between the eyebrows, adding a bit of thrilling charm. The strange thing is that, although she is as beautiful as a peach, her face is as cold as ice, especially her beautiful phoenix eyes, which are full of chillness and frightening. Her red lips parted slightly, her voice was relatively neutral, and her voice was icy cold and murderous. You mean, you haven't found that guy yet? Behind him, one of the most capable subordinates knelt on one knee, clasped his fists and lowered his head, with fine sweat on his forehead, and said with a palpitation, reporting to the leader, the person is really not found, as if he disappeared out of thin air in this world. This subordinate is the second most powerful existence in the fire worship demon cult. Even so, he has to kneel here trembling, fearing that the figure in front of him will punish him. Just because the other party is the leader of the fire worship demon cult. People know that he is called the Red Emperor, but they don't know that he is the eldest disciple of the current Lord of the Heavenly Court, Hong Chenny. Disappeared? Hong Chenny frowned, his thoughts drifting to what happened last year. That incident almost destroyed the entire fire worship demon cult, and even he was almost pulled down from the altar. Fortunately, his cultivation method has made a breakthrough, coupled with the new environment of heaven and earth. The holy energy is very abundant, so that he can reshape his body and condense a holy body far beyond the immortal body, called the Yanyan holy body. Once this holy body is out, the cultivation level will soar, and it will directly break through from the immortal venerable to the immortal emperor, and stabilize the overall situation again. The culprit who caused chaos in the church, seeing that it was not good, cast a spell to escape, and his whereabouts are unknown until now. Later, relying on the Yanyan holy body, he successfully survived the holy calamity. Now he is already a true saint, one of the few super giants in this world. But Hong Chenny has always had a heartache in his heart, that is, he has not found the person who caused trouble to his church. The other party had provoked him before, and he was imprisoned in Longyang Pavilion by him to entertain male believers with unique hobbies. At first, Hong Chenny didn't take him seriously and thought he was a small character not worth mentioning. As a result, a bizarre thing happened. That guy didn't know what evil method he practiced, but he actually reversed his gender and became a woman. Not only did he take yang to replenish yin, but he was also good at a charm technique, which made the male believers in his church dizzy and fascinated. In a short period of time, the other party almost mastered all the male believers in the church headquarters and drove them to attack him. In that battle, too many subordinates he trusted died. The generals who used to follow his lead and were willing to sacrifice their lives were like demons at that time, obeying the other party unconditionally, even if they died. Hong Chenny knew that this was not a betrayal, but was manipulated by the monster. Later, he condensed the holy body and his cultivation level increased greatly, and then he turned the tide and turned the situation around again. Unfortunately, the other party saw that the situation was not good and fled early, leaving only the church headquarters in ruins. Although the fire worship demon cult has recovered and is even larger than before, Hong Chenny just can't swallow this bad breath. Who would have thought that a small character could stir up such a big storm behind the scenes, almost subverting the entire fire worship demon cult and almost destroying his hard work. At this moment, hearing the report from his subordinates, Hong Chenny was in a bad mood and said coldly, "If that's the case, then retreat." Yes, seeing that the leader did not punish him, the subordinate withdrew as if he had been pardoned. It shouldn't be. Now in this holy world, my fire worship demon cult spies are almost all over the 5 major domains. How come I haven't even seen the shadow of that evildoer? Could it be that he is no longer in this world? Hong Chenny said with an ugly look. If he can find it, he must be eliminated. This is simply a huge disaster. He is a fierce and powerful demon giant. He has seen all kinds of shameless means, but he has never seen such a weird one. A man inexplicably turned into a woman, relying on the yang to replenish the yin to increase his cultivation. The most terrifying thing is that he also has the charm to make countless men obey him. Any man will fall for it. At the beginning, even he almost lost his mind. Now thinking about it, he is really scared. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 687. This is called a succubus. At the same time, in the vast universe, a costly holy ship shuttled through the starry sky. There were many offensive holy formations engraved inside the holy ship, which was enough to pose a considerable threat to the strong men in the heavenly saint realm. At the door of the wing room, a nobleman wearing a brocade robe and a jade belt gently knocked on the door, with an expectant expression on his face. "Immortal Peach Blossom, can I go in?" This nobleman was not small. He came from the black and white realm, which ranked 90th in the divine court. He was born in a dominant saint family. His father was the head of the Sao family, an ancient saint. There was also a Saint King level ancestor in the family, with a deep foundation. Although Sao Ji was a direct member of the Sao family, he was the youngest one and was not taken seriously at ordinary times. He was just born with a good family background and strong financial resources. Even this holy ship was his private property, and there were 2 heavenly saint level worshippers on the ship to protect him. This time he originally wanted to take advantage of the situation and make a fortune in the holy realm, but the deterrence of the Lord of Heaven was too strong, and the 2 worshippers were urging him to run away quickly, so Sao Ji had no choice but to return the same way. However, when he left the holy realm, he accidentally met a top-notch beauty, who simply fascinated him and couldn't stop. Even Sao Ji didn't know why he was so obsessed. You know, he is at least a direct member of the overlord level Sao family. He has had all kinds of women, and he is so sick of them that he has entered the Buddhist stage for a long time. Who knew that in that broken place in the holy realm, he actually met a very special woman. Obviously, her figure and appearance are not top-notch, just like a charming and attractive female immortal, but the other party's every frown and smile can arouse his interest and desire. Sao Ji knew that her name was Peach Blossom Immortal, and he originally wanted to play around, but after many days of contact, Sao Ji fell in love with her unknowingly. When Immortal Peach Blossom asked to leave the holy world with him, Sao Ji agreed without hesitation. In this way, he took her on the journey to the black and white world. During this time on the boat, facing Immortal Peach Blossom's request, Sao Ji could be said to have responded to every request. Even he didn't realize that he had subconsciously regarded her as a goddess-like existence, who could not be desecrated and could only obey her orders. Perhaps it was the desire deep in his heart that made Sao Ji come to Immortal Peach Blossom's house at this time, wanting to kiss her and take her home. Noticing their son's dog-licking behavior, the 2 heavenly saint-level worshippers looked at each other and showed strange intentions. Strange, when did the 9th young master treat women so carefully? Besides, the other party is just a native with low cultivation. Yes, although the woman is quite beautiful and has a sexy aura that makes me itchy, I shouldn't be so obsessed with her. After all, there are plenty of such women in Yichunyuan. Logically, an old hand like the 9th young master should be tired of playing. Could it be that the 9th young master is changing to a new way of playing? This will be more interesting. Hey, now that you mention it, it's really possible. The 2 worshippers secretly communicated. They didn't know that it was because their cultivation was in the realm of heavenly saints, so the impact was minimal, and Sao Ji's cultivation was only the 10th level of half-saints, so it was so easy to be fooled. Peach Blossom Immortal, Peach Blossom Immortal. Sao Ji shouted outside the door without giving up. Suddenly, a delicate female voice sounded inside, making people's bones brittle. Mr. Sao, you are so anxious, then come in. Sao Ji was overjoyed when he heard this. He suppressed his excitement and gently pushed open the door with his trembling hands. What came into view was an elegantly decorated wing room with all the furniture. The thin curtain fluttered, outlining a graceful figure, which aroused people's reverie. Sao Ji closed the door tightly, swallowed his saliva, and walked forward impatiently to lift the curtain. I saw a woman in a pink gauze dress, lying lazily on the bed, with white and delicate skin, a slender waist like a water snake, and exuding a charming aura, like Daji who brought disaster to the country and the people. Especially those beautiful fox eyes, as if they were going to seduce souls, as if they contained some kind of magic. Sao Ji was stunned in place, and saliva flowed from the corners of his mouth. Mr. Sao, am I beautiful? The woman asked with a charming smile. Sao Ji nodded like a chick pecking at rice, saying repeatedly, beautiful, very beautiful. Seeing the other party being fascinated by her, a trace of contempt flashed in the woman's eyes. She called herself the Peach Blossom Immortal, but the world did not know that her predecessor was the infamous Peach Blossom Immortal, Bo Chengli. Since being imprisoned in Longyang Pavilion by Hong Chenny, Bo Chengli has found a way to save himself in pain, that is, to reverse the yin and yang siphoning gong and achieve a comeback. After reversing gender, Bo Chengli's target audience of the gong method changed from female to male. She can not only take yang to replenish yin, but also affect the mind of men, making them fall in love with her wholeheartedly and give everything for her. Later, relying on the essence of the majority of male believers, Bo Chengli quickly recovered to the immortal master's cultivation, broke through the confinement imposed by Hong Chenny, and began to accumulate strength to subvert the fire worship demon cult, pointing his spearhead directly at Hong Chenny. At the beginning, Bo Chengli felt that it was foolproof. After all, under her influence, the male backbones of the church headquarters were all on her side, and they could definitely defeat the other party if they worked together. As a result, at the critical moment, the guy somehow awakened a certain physique, and his cultivation broke through to the realm of the immortal emperor. The situation was out of control, and Bo Chengli saw that the situation was not good, so she had to run away quickly. After all, the difference in cultivation was too big, and the influence of her skills would also be weakened. In the following period of time, Bo Chengli was hiding from place to place, fearing that the fire worship demon cult would find out her whereabouts and attract the revenge of the leader. Of course, she also developed in secret, and as for the process, those who know it, so it is not convenient to elaborate. Until a group of foreign cultivators came to the Holy Realm, it gave Bo Chengli a good opportunity to increase her cultivation. Relying on the characteristics of the skills, she made friends with many male strongmen and quickly broke through to the realm of semi-saints. From these people, she learned that the Holy Realm was about to face a disaster. Bo Chengli realized that she could not be buried with them, and she had to leave this world quickly. By chance, she met a high-quality target like Sao Ji, whose cultivation was also at the semi-saint level. The key was that he had a great background. He was ranked 90th in the world where he lived. His family was powerful and had a Saint King level ancestor. Bo Chengli immediately seized the opportunity and used his skills to confuse the other party. How could Sao Ji resist with his little cultivation? He fell directly, became the most loyal licker. Poor Sao Ji, he was played around like this. He didn't even know that the goddess he loved deeply was actually a man before. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 688. The army sets out, and the starry sky trembles. Now, facing the prey that has come to her door, Bo Chengli will certainly not miss this good opportunity. Her cultivation is currently at the 5th level of the semi-saint. If she can absorb the essence in Sao Ji's body, she will surely be able to go further, but for the sake of the overall situation, Bo Chengli will try her best to restrain herself. After all, Sao Ji is the foundation of her foothold in the Sao family. She wants to use this as a basis to expand the number of objects to be absorbed and quickly spread to the men of the entire Sao family. Just imagine, if even the ancestors of the Sao family listen to her, how smooth will her future path be? For that unique method of absorption, Bo Chengli went from being uncomfortable at the beginning, and then gradually became enjoying it later. She also enjoyed it a lot of the time and didn't feel very uncomfortable. From a man to a woman, the whole process requires a lot of courage, but once you adapt, it will be like opening the door to a new world, and you will experience indescribable pleasure from it. It's a pity that when I succeed in my cultivation, I won't be able to return to take revenge. After all, the Saint Realm will have perished by then. When she thought of her former enemy Yi Junlin, Bo Chengli felt a strange feeling in her heart. It would be a lie to say that she didn't hate him. After all, she was able to reach this point today because of him. However, as time went by, she began to like her new identity, which was a very contradictory feeling. But one thing is for another. If there is a chance for revenge, Bo Chengli will still kill her enemy to end her heartache. Putting away her scattered thoughts, Bo Chengli looked at the stunned young man in front of him and said with a smile. Mr. Cao, you come to me late at night. Do you have any problem for me to solve? Looking at this graceful woman in pink with a charming face, Cao Ji suddenly felt dry in his mouth and couldn't stand it. It was like a cat's claw scratching his heart. It was very itchy. Yes, I have a problem, and I want to ask Peach Blossom Immortal to solve it. Just once. No, actually it can be many times. Haha, Master Cao is so humorous. The sweet laughter filled the room with joy, making people excited and unable to restrain their emotions. I'll prove it to you right now. At this moment, Cao Ji could no longer control himself, and he pounced like a beast with heavy breathing. The curtain fell down, reflecting two overlapping figures. In the vast starry sky, a gorgeous holy ship was shuttling rapidly, and the nebulae along the way were broken, with magnificent momentum. The monks of the Black and White Realm did not expect that they were about to fall into the greatest crisis in history because of a special outsider. In this way, when the storm was about to come, all the extraterritorial creatures stranded in the Holy Realm left quickly, including a small number of local monks who were afraid of death. In the vast universe, countless eyes are focused on this world, some sympathetic, some compassionate, some sarcastic, some joking, and so on. No one thinks that the Holy Realm can survive this catastrophe. With only a so-called heaven, it has no power to protect it. Rumble, the starry sky trembles, and the sun and the moon are extinguished. The vast army of the Nine Netherworld embarked on the journey, marching all the way to the destination. Looking around, many dark red holy ships with metallic luster are heading to the starry sky, and there are war fortresses comparable to asteroids moving at high speed. The overall momentum is magnificent and visually impactful. Countless Nine Netherworld soldiers riding holy beasts, holding fluttering military flags, continue to advance with the torrent of steel. At this moment, they gathered together with a common goal, which is to flatten the Holy Realm and kill all the creatures in this world. In this terrifying army, the half-saints are just the lowest level cannon fodder, the true saints are ordinary characters who rush to the front line, there are many heavenly saint-level masters, and even the number of ancient saint-level masters is as high as 6 digits. In front of such a powerful lineup, any medium-sized holy world will tremble and feel despair. After all, the strongest foundation of a medium-sized holy world is the ancient saints. Generally speaking, a double-digit number is considered good, and reaching 3 digits is the top level. As a result, this Juyu army has a terrifying 6-digit number of ancient saint-level masters alone, which is equivalent to 100,000 ancient saints in person. Under such a huge disparity in strength, isn't it the fate of being crushed? This is the terrible thing about the evil level world-destroying order. In the horrified eyes of countless creatures, this Juyu army crossed the major galaxies in a mighty manner. Because the momentum it exuded was too terrifying, countless planets along the way were trembling, and even thousands of miles away were shattered and turned into cosmic dust. Kill, kill, kill. The shouts of killing were like thunder, and the killing intent was like a raging torrent, and every inch of the void seemed to be frozen into ice. The Holy Martial Realm. A palace stood on the majestic holy mountain, and many huge stars surrounded the top of the palace, emitting bright and brilliant light. This is the pilgrimage site of the Holy Martial Realm cultivators, Panlong Hall. The founder of Panlong Hall is the strongest in the Holy Martial Realm, Panlong Wusheng. Because Panlong Wusheng broke through to the Saint Ancestor Realm, the status of the entire world also rose, so his power was naturally the top power in the world, and countless cultivators were proud to join it. In the hall, the atmosphere was solemn, and densely packed figures sat cross-legged on the empty ground. Among them, both men and women looked respectful and looked at the highest point in front of them with awe, the huge human-shaped light and shadow suspended in the air. The human-shaped light and shadow sat cross-legged, and its specific appearance could not be seen clearly. There was also a golden dragon-shaped holy energy surrounding it. Every breath it took could make the void tremble, as if it could affect the operation of the laws of this world. He was Panlong Wusheng, a great power in the Saint Ancestor Realm. At this time, Panlong Wusheng seemed to have sensed something, waved his hand, and a huge light curtain suddenly appeared in the air. The light curtain showed a terrifying scene. A huge army of the Nine Netherworld was on its way, with holy ships, war fortresses, and countless iron cavalry. There were bursts of gasps in the hall. The disciples' scalps were numb, and their eyes were filled with a trace of fear. But when they thought that they were in the holy martial realm and there were great powers in the saint ancestor realm sitting in charge, they felt much more at ease, their expressions returned to normal, and their faces showed sympathy. After this battle, there will be no more holy worlds in the world. Panlong Wusheng said indifferently, without any emotional fluctuations, as if he was stating an indisputable fact. In his opinion, once the evil level world destruction order is issued, only a large-scale holy world can resist it, which means that there must be a holy king in charge first. Otherwise, it will be destroyed without a doubt. Alas, that holy world is really too ungrateful. It can obviously rely on the power of the divine court to avoid this disaster, but it ended up like this. It's really asking for trouble. A burly male disciple shook his head and sighed. If you ask me, it's all the fault of the Lord of Heaven. He led the holy world into a trap. That's right, who does he think he is? He dared to call himself the Emperor of Heaven. Doesn't he know that only the Lord of the Divine Court has such qualifications? How ridiculous. It's because of his arrogance that the Divine Court is unhappy and the world he is in is implicated. He is really a disaster. Now it's good. What a shitty heaven. It has to be destroyed not long after it was established. It's simply ridiculous. For a while, all the disciples talked about it and expressed their opinions on this matter. Without exception, they all despised and ridiculed. Those who can stay in Panlong Hall are all formal disciples of Panlong Wusheng, which also means that they all start from the true saint realm at the lowest level. Formal disciples are also divided into high and low levels, and the seats are arranged according to status. The closer to Panlong Wusheng, the higher the status. From high to low, they are true disciple, inner disciple, and outer disciple. People like Shang Jiba who have just broken through to the true saint not long ago naturally belong to the outer disciple. At this time, he was sitting in a relatively backward position, listening to the voices of discussion around him. His face was very ugly. Looking at the Nine Nether army on the screen, the sense of oppression revealed through the screen made him feel a little palpitation and his back was cold. This scale of the Saint army is not comparable to the team encountered before. The previous one was just a small fight, not the same concept at all. Fellow Taoist Yi, how are you going to deal with it next? Shang Jiba's heart was full of powerlessness, and his face was worried. Saint realm. Yi Junlin stood on the top of the cloud with his hands behind his back, and his eyes revealed some deep meaning. No one knew that he could not wait for this day. Before that, he also learned from Lu Wangshu about the horror of the evil level world-destroying order. Although Yi Junlin felt that he was invincible in a single fight with the same realm, there is an idiom called being outnumbered. If he was trapped in the vast ocean and could not get out, it would be troublesome. Therefore, he was not conceited enough to fight the Nine Nether army alone without any external force. In order to deal with the upcoming Nine Netherworld army, he personally arranged a series of traps, waiting for a chain reaction and then reaping a lot of rewards. Come on, my human emperor banner can't wait. Yi Junlin said meaningfully. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 689. Unity. Young friend Yi, I have summoned a group of the strongest monks in the holy world to gather in heaven to deal with the coming Juyu army. At this time, a middle-aged man wearing a black Taoist robe with an immortal air came from the clouds and mist. His face was full of solemnity, and he said in a deep voice. During this period of time, Lu Wangshu thought hard and finally figured out a shortcut that could maximize the overall power of heaven. In this regard, he used the precious resources born in the holy world and relied on his professional knowledge and abilities to build a very special holy level formation in the heaven. Why is it special? It's because this formation can condense the power of all casters and erupt with a lethality that is dozens of times greater than the whole. It only needs one person to sit at the center of the formation to control it. In layman's terms, it turns the heaven into a war fortress, and the defense and attack modes can be switched at any time. Lu Wangshu's idea was very straightforward, which was to gather together a group of the most powerful people in the holy world, and use the heaven as the base to work together to exert strength far beyond their usual level. This move is equivalent to gathering sand into a sea, and its power is far greater than that of scattered individuals. When Lu Wangshu mentioned this idea to Yi Junlin found it particularly interesting. This would also help relieve some of his pressure, so he was naturally very supportive. "Are you all here? Let's go and have a look," Yi Junlin said. On the way, Lu Wangshu reminded with a complex expression, "It's just that not all people came. Some monks have disappeared. For example, the holy monk Sakyamuni, known as the Buddha Emperor, mysteriously disappeared in the 10,000 Buddhist sect a while ago. I speculate that he has already left Holy World." Sakyamuni survived the holy calamity and became a saint shortly after the change of heaven and earth. He is one of the top strong men in this world. His departure is undoubtedly a huge loss to the holy world. Haha, you're talking about that old bald donkey. In fact, it's the same with or without him. It's not worth mentioning at all. Yi Junlin's eyes flashed with disdain and said disdainfully. He remembered that a kun was surrendered by the other party and became a mount. Later, when he confronted him in person, the other party still acted as if he was standing on the moral high ground and refused to admit the facts. In the end, he used his fists to teach me how to behave, and I became completely honest. Now that disaster was imminent, this old bald donkey saw that the situation was not going well and took the opportunity to run away. With the previous contact, Yi Junlin was not surprised at all by his behavior. There is such a kind of person who appears to be high-sounding and talks about benevolence, justice and morality, but in fact, when it comes to real life and death, he is greedy for life and afraid of death, and he is the fastest runner. Sakyamuni is a very typical example. To put it bluntly, this kind of traitor was a traitor who escaped from battle. As the Lord of Heaven, it was reasonable for Yi Junlin to execute him. But now that he has run away, forget it, but if he dares to appear in front of him next time, the only thing waiting for this person is death. Yes, Lu Wangshu heard the contempt in Yi Junlin's tone and quickly said with a smile. Returning to the heaven, what came into view was a large group of figures, both men and women, with different costumes, from different races, and all of them started in the semi-saint realm. Look, it's the Emperor of Heaven. At this moment, when they saw Yi Junlin's arrival, they all looked excited, as if they had suddenly found their backbone, and their eyes were bright and radiant. Yi Junlin smiled and said, "Everyone, I've been waiting for a long time." The previous group of people who were immortal emperors are now basically in the semi-saint realm. After all, the vast majority of people are not strong enough to survive the holy tribulation at once. Those who can survive the holy tribulation are very rare. Emperor of Heaven, this war is imminent. We are willing to follow your footsteps to the death and live and die with the holy world. One of the semi-saints said solemnly. I am willing to follow you to the death and live and die with the holy world. In an instant, earth-shattering shouts erupted from the scene, and the sound echoed in all directions. Everyone was passionate and had the determination to die in their eyes. Countless creatures heard this and were all ready to sacrifice at any time. Seeing this scene, Lu Wangshu was secretly frightened. With such a strong cohesion, even though a mortal court had ruled for so long before, it had not been able to achieve this effect, but now, it was achieved by a young man. He felt both envy and emotion in his heart. Yi Junlin waved his hand and said, "Live well, don't talk about whether you will die or not. Believe me, we will not only win, but we will win beautifully. This battle is the battle for our heaven to gain a foothold. After this battle, the starry sky all races will have a great change in their view of us." His tone was calm, as if he was stating an ironclad fact. This calmness and confidence revealed convinced all the monks present. This is the charm of a leader, which can invisibly influence the mood of the public and stabilize people's hearts. Lu Wangshu glanced around, frowned and said, "Where is Holy Lord Dongshang?" Since Tu Lai's death, this position has been vacant. Later, as the situation changed, Heaven decided to promote one of the strongest people in Dongshang Sanctuary to take office. After in-depth understanding, I discovered that the person with the greatest influence and strength in Dongshang Sanctuary is a newly rising demon cult leader. The fire worship demon cult he founded is the leader of today's demonic forces. Due to the special situation and the time to hire people, Lu Wangshu decided to mobilize him to take up the post and contribute his strength to resist the Juyu army. Hear the words. The faces of all the monks changed, and their eyes showed surprise. Naturally, they had heard about this newly appointed Holy Lord Dongshang, and they were still somewhat conflicted in their hearts. After all, from ancient times to the present, the magic has always been suppressed and it is difficult to become a big climate. As a result, in this new era, a man from the magic has emerged and established the strongest magic force in the world. His influence is unprecedented and feared by the whole world. Especially the mysterious leader of the magic cult, who is even more talented and has reached the realm of saints. he suppresses countless righteous cultivators in the world. Now, he sits on the position of the saint, which is simply overwhelming. Seeing that the other party did not arrive, the cultivators had different thoughts and did not know what they were thinking. Suddenly, a striking red light suddenly appeared in the sky, surrounded by terrifying red-gold flames, with a strong sense of oppression. This is... Everyone was shocked. Oh, Tong Wudi raised his eyebrows, and his eyes showed a hint of interest. He could feel that there was an extremely terrifying energy hidden in the other party's body. Li Ruotong frowned. Although their cultivation was similar, she felt that she was unmatched. She could imagine how strong the newcomer was. Under the attention of the crowd, the powerful figure landed in the center of the venue. The clusters of red gold flames around him dissipated, revealing his true appearance at this moment. Dressed in a red dress like a flame, his figure was as slender as a willow, his black hair fluttered in the wind, his fair face was flawless, there was a bright flame mark between his eyebrows, his phoenix eyes were as deep as the sea, and his whole body exuded a charming temperament. He just stood there quietly, making everything in the world pale in comparison. "You are the newly appointed Dongsheng Saint Lord?" Lu Wangshu asked uncertainly. Obviously, the other party's image greatly exceeded his expectations. "That's right," Hong Chenny said lightly. Hearing this, all the cultivators were shocked and felt very surprised. "I thought that this demon supreme who unified the demon path should look like a big demon who kills without blinking an eye, extremely cruel, or rough, tall, and heroic. As a result, it was neither of these. I didn't expect that the current demon supreme is actually a woman." A man whispered. Hong Chenny turned his head and glared at him. "I am a man." He felt that it was necessary to clarify it in this occasion. Boom! The crowd was in an uproar. Can a man be so beautiful? Who would believe it just based on this face? Especially many female monks, looking at Hong Chenny with complicated expressions, inexplicably feeling inferior in their hearts. It really hurts their self-esteem. At this time, Yi Junlin smiled and said, "Zhao Hong, I haven't seen you for so long. Why don't you come and say hello to your master when you see me?" Hong Chenny walked up to the silver-haired young man without any hesitation, bowed and said respectfully, "Disciple Hong Chenny, meet the master." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was silent. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 690. This background is invincible. Everyone was stunned, their faces full of disbelief. This demon supreme who unified the demon path and shocked the world was actually the disciple of the current Lord of Heaven. What a joke. He is your disciple. New one. Lu Wangshu's brain almost didn't turn around, and he was depressed and secretly transmitted the voice. Yi Junlin responded. "I accepted him in Kunlun realm, but we were separated after ascending to the Immortal Land. I didn't expect to meet him again. He appeared in this identity." Hearing this, Lu Wangshu was directly messed up in the wind. "So both of you, the master and the disciple, are freaks. Each of you is so good at making trouble. Oh my god, this demon's master is actually the Emperor of Heaven. This identity and background make him invincible." Many cultivators present felt scalp numb, secretly said, and the eyes looking at Hong Chenny became different, becoming particularly friendly. Who could have imagined that the first person who dominated the magic world in the world was actually a disciple of the Lord of Heaven? Who would dare to make irresponsible comments in the future? Haha, since he is the disciple of the Emperor of Heaven, he is even more of a member of our heaven, and we are even closer. Lu Wangshu adjusted his state, showing a friendly smile on his face, and said humorously. "That's right," everyone echoed, very tactful, and would not continue to delve into this topic. After all, everyone has red, emotional intelligence. Among them, the Southern Heaven Saint Bu Chinfan, with envy in his eyes, secretly said, "Fellow Taoist Yi is too successful. He became the Lord of Heaven, and his disciple is so promising." At this time, he couldn't help but think of a sword wizard he had taken in before. Not only did he have a powerful bloodline, but his qualifications were also top level, but he was still stuck in the Immortal Emperor Perfection realm, preparing to impact the Saint realm. This person is Li Wuji. Now is the era of the Holy Tao. It is normal for Li Wuji to break through from the Immortal Venerable to the Immortal Emperor quickly with his own qualifications and the cultivation environment full of holy energy. As for becoming a saint, he must first survive the Holy Tribulation. Li Wuji has been conserving his energy and making full preparations these days. Bu Qinfen has always seen Li Wuji's growth rate. He also said that if he really breaks through to become a saint, he will report to the heavenly court to contribute to the resistance against foreign aliens. It is worth mentioning that Bu Qinfen is also a saint now. After all, when he was an immortal emperor, he had the crown of the great heavenly rank of the immortal Tao, the perfect Tao grade sword intention, and a broken and undefeated sword heart. With the increase of multiple buffs, he finally won a ray of hope for himself, successfully survived the terrifying holy tribulation, and became one of the top strong men. He did not fall behind because of this. Hey, how come even the disciple of fellow Taoist Yi is so powerful? Will he let people live? Qingzhou Queen Su Yingwo was secretly sad and felt a little uncomfortable. She is the only one among the 5 great saints who has not broken through to the saint. She is on the road of semi-saint. Although she has the highest cultivation among the semi-saints and will definitely break through to the saint in the future, she is no longer the main force at this moment and has no choice but to become a second-tier player. There is no way. Although Su Yingwo wants to break through to the saint in one fell swoop, her foundation during the period of the immortal emperor is not very sufficient. She only has the crown of the middle heaven immortal way, and her physical body is not very strong. She is good at the art of charm. In this case, facing the terrifying Saint Calamity is simply a death sentence. Therefore, after careful consideration, Su Yingwo had to settle for the second best and take the road of semi-saint, and then transform into a true saint when the time is right in the future. Originally, Su Yingwo was still very confident. After all, she was the strongest among the semi-saints. As a result, she saw that she was the only semi-saint among the 5 great saints, and she had a huge psychological gap. In extraordinary times, only saints can play a major role, and semi-saints can only be relegated to the second line. As for the immortal emperor who was admired by everyone before, he didn't even have the qualifications to enter. There is no way, the times have changed. Xiaohong, you have been doing well during the time you have been away from your master. Yi Junlin said meaningfully. Hearing the implication, Hong Chenyi hurriedly said respectfully, that is thanks to the master's good teaching. In the eyes of outsiders, he is a super giant who has unified the magic world, with great power and reputation, but only he knows that this little achievement is not worth mentioning in front of the other party. As a disciple, he tried his best just to barely keep up with the master's pace. Hong Chenyi was satisfied to win a word of praise from the master. Well, not bad, there is a future. Yi Junlin saw that this eldest disciple was not arrogant or impatient, and remained humble in front of him, and nodded with appreciation. Thank you for the compliment, master. Hong Chenyi's face was happy, and a strong sense of accomplishment suddenly emerged in his heart. After all, he still needs to be recognized. Of course, this is limited to Yi Junlin alone. As for what others think, he doesn't care at all. Looking around, Hong Chenyi raised his eyes and thought of Li Wuji, who had been competing with him before, and a sarcastic arc appeared on his lips. Hee, I'm here, where are you? Just then, a tall figure in a bamboo hat quickly approached the heavenly court, and countless terrifying sword auras surrounded him, tearing the void apart. Who? The monks noticed this breath, their faces changed and they looked over, and suddenly they felt a dazzling feeling, as if they were stabbed by a knife. The heavenly court soldiers who were responsible for patrolling along the way wanted to intercept him, but they were all shocked by this great holy power and did not dare to act rashly, with deep fear in their eyes. This is a saint. In today's era, saints are respected. Except for the Lord of Heaven, the rest can be counted on one's fingers, so each of them is a top powerhouse at the forefront of the times. Strangely, this mysterious person who broke into the heaven without permission had never been heard of before, as if he suddenly appeared, which made the guards of the heaven suspicious. This breath, could it be? Bu Qinfen was stunned and overjoyed. Swish, Li Wuji descended in the center of the heaven, wearing a signature hat, a black suit, and a saber on his waist, like the dress of a swordsman in the rivers and lakes. His posture was as straight as a spear, his eyes were as bright as a golden lamp, and there was a domineering aura between his eyebrows. After several years, Li Wuji also became a saint and officially joined the ranks of the top powerhouses in this world. Everyone, this is the elder of my Yutian Dao sect, one of us. Bu Qinfen quickly stood up to introduce, his face full of pride. I didn't expect that the sect of Saint Bu has produced a second sword saint. Congratulations. Many people around envied. Lu Wangshu praised. Saint Bu is amazing. It is a great achievement to add a saint to the heavenly court. The more saints there are, the greater the blessing to the heavenly court formation, and the stronger the power it bursts out, so he was very happy to see another new saint joining. Haha, no way. Bu Qinfen laughed and waved his hands, feeling very proud. Looking at the figure in the bamboo hat, his eyes revealed some emotion. At the beginning, he kept a good seedling out of love for talent, but he didn't expect that he has grown to the same level as him now. I still remember that Li Wuji was only at the level of Immortal Emperor, but he offended a superpower and was hunted by 3 Immortal Lords. Fortunately, he used his mad bloodline to forcibly kill the 3 Immortal Lords, but he fell into madness due to the side effects. Just when he was about to destroy himself, Bu Qinfen, who was at the level of Immortal Emperor, came forward to seal his mad bloodline, took him back to Yutian Dao sect to recuperate, and taught him carefully. In a blink of an eye, the immortal realm transformed into the holy realm, and Li Wuji also caught up with the dividends of the times. Thanks to the further development of the mad bloodline and the improvement of his own strength, he triggered the holy tribulation not long ago, successfully passed the tribulation, and officially entered the realm of the saint. After slightly stabilizing his realm, Li Wuji immediately set off for the heavenly court to contribute his own strength to resist the foreign races. At this time, before Li Wuji had time to sigh at the grand scale of the heavenly court, his sight was attracted by the silver-haired figure standing at the highest point. His tiger body shook, and his breathing became a little rapid. "Wuji, why are you standing there? Come and see the Emperor of Heaven," Bu Qinfen said with a smile. He was going to use this opportunity to show off. After all, a school with 2 saints was absolutely unique in the saint realm. This also meant that the Tao of Sword would flourish. As a guide, he naturally played an indispensable role. The next second, Li Wuji stepped in front of Yi Junlin, bowed in a proper manner, and said respectfully, "Disciple Li Wuji, I pay my respects to the master." Bu Qinfen smiled and nodded at first. After hearing this, the smile on his face disappeared instantly. His eyes were bigger than copper bells, and his face was full of disbelief. Chapter 691 Why are they all your disciples? Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked again. Lu Wangshu was stunned, looking at Yi Junlin with eyes full of astonishment. "What's going on? Is this your apprentice again?" Seeing his long-lost third apprentice coming to pay his respects, Yi Junlin showed a happy smile on his face. "Xiao Li, you did not disappoint me," Li Wuji said excitedly. "With these words from master, all my efforts are worth it." He could have returned to Yi Junlin a long time ago. After all, Yi Junlin was the immortal master of Beihan at that time and was very famous. But after some thought, he did not rush back, but chose to practice and improve his cultivation on his own. "Because, I hope that when we meet again, we will meet at the top with a completely new attitude." Now, Li Wuji has done it. He can show his identity openly, without fear of any rumors. This is the confidence brought by strength. When everyone saw that he was really the disciple of the Lord of Heaven, the expression on his face was extremely wonderful. Especially Bu Qinfen, his head was buzzing and he was stunned on the spot at a loss. He could vaguely hear the sound of heartbreak. "Co-author, you like to play the drama of master and apprentice recognizing each other, right? Have you considered my feelings?" Grass. Bu Qinfen pretended to be strong when it came to Li Wuji's act of revealing his identity, but in reality his heart was so painful that it was twitching. "This feeling is like picking up an injured bird on the way. You take it back and take care of it, and you love it very much. But then its wings harden and it flies to the original owner's house. What an uncomfortable group. Hey, it turns out that his master is someone like Dao Yuyi. No wonder he has been unwilling to change his master. I am overestimating my ability." After learning the truth, Bu Qinfen was devastated and secretly sad. He had always wanted to accept Li Wuji as his disciple, feeling that Li Wuji's previous master was not qualified to have such a talented swordsman. Who knew, he would be the clown in the end. This is really embarrassing. Lu Wangshu came to his senses and secretly sent a message. "Xiao Yuyi, why are all of your disciples so powerful? You must have a very accurate eye for people." He had to accept it. There are 2 disciples here, one is the demonic supreme master who dominates the demonic way, and the other is the peerless swordsman with overwhelming power. Damn, this is so impressive. Definitely the facade. That's right, regardless of who I am, Yi Junlin said. "Senior brother, we haven't seen each other for a long time." Li Wuji looked at Hong Chenny aside, with a subtle arc at the corner of his mouth. Hong Chenny knew exactly what the other party wanted to express, so she immediately put her face down and snorted, "You came in time." "That's natural. As master's most valued disciple, I will definitely not let him down." Li Wuji puffed up his chest and said with a smile on his face. The most valued disciple. When Hong Chenny heard these words, a cold light burst out from her eyes, and her dissatisfaction was almost written on her face. Ever since Li Wuji arrived, he has become more and more unhappy with the other party, especially now, this unhappiness has almost reached its peak. Junior brother, that's just your illusion, or maybe you need someone to help you recognize the reality. Hong Chenny said coldly. Oh, is this person you? Li Wuji looked directly into Hong Chenny's eyes with burning eyes. At this time, he had already achieved a huge breakthrough through the previous hard training. He was full of confidence and had no stage fright at all under the pressure of Hong Chenny. If you want to fight, fight, who is afraid of whom? The two sides were facing each other tit for tat, neither one convinced the other, and there was a faint spark between the eyes. The smell of gunpowder suddenly filled the air. Everyone was confused. What was going on? The two disciples of the Emperor of Heaven don't seem to be able to deal with each other. Ahem. Yi Junlin pretended to cough a few times and said dissatisfiedly, we are all brothers in the same sect. There will be plenty of opportunities for us to learn from each other. If you really want to fight, you might as well make plans with me. Come on, let's fight together. Hear the words. Hong Chenny and Li Wuji were startled, with beads of sweat dripping from their foreheads. They hurriedly lowered their hands and said, Master, I know I was wrong. Just kidding, if you fight the silver-haired young man in front of you, their combined strength is not enough for him to fight with one hand. In this case, it is best to admit your mistake quickly, otherwise you will have to suffer a physical punishment. Seeing this situation, everyone secretly sighed that the only one who could suppress these two top experts at the same time was the Lord of Heaven. Without his pressure, who could control these two bosses? Shouldn't it turn the holy world upside down? Yi Junlin's expression softened a little, and he looked at the depressed Bu Qinfen, and asked curiously, by the way, was my apprentice always with you before? He seems to have become an elder. In order to avoid misunderstanding, Bu Qinfen quickly explained, to the Emperor of Heaven, Li Wuji only serves as the guest elder. If you mind, I will remove him later. The catching elder is equivalent to an outsider serving as a worshipper here, and then taking action appropriately when encountering trouble. It is mainly responsible for acting as a facade position. Different from the formal elders, the catching elder can leave at any time, is less restrictive, and can also be used in many places. As long as the sect is willing, it will be fine. At this time, Bu Qinfen was deeply afraid that Yi Junlin would delve deeper into this issue, so he quickly stated that he could cut off this relationship. Seeing this, Li Wuji hurriedly said to Yi Junlin, Master, my disciple was in danger before. Senior Bu saved me. During this period, he took good care of me in the sect. He is my savior. Thank you for your kindness. Even if you lose the position of elder catching, I will still take care of Yutian sword sect in the future. His meaning was very clear, that is, the affairs of the Yutian sword sect in the future are his affairs. If Bu Qinfen encounters trouble, he will be the first to help him and stick his neck out. Hearing this, Bu Qinfen was very touched and felt much better emotionally. At least he didn't forget his roots. Although the other party never became his apprentice, it was also good to accept this friendship, which was beneficial to him in the sect. Oh, there is such a thing. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect that Li Wuji had such an experience behind him. Well, gratitude is the basic principle of being a person. This is a good apprentice of Yi Junlin. You continue to serve as the guest elder, no problem. Immediately, Yi Junlin waved his hand to express his attitude. Thank you, Master. Li Wuji felt relieved and said excitedly. Thank you, Emperor Tian. Bu Qinfen smiled, and the depression in his heart dissipated. The other cultivators were envious, which meant that the Yutian sword sect had another sword saint to help, and this sword saint had a greater background. Now the strongest sect in the Holy Realm was probably the Yutian sword sect. The sword art was flourishing. Now, apart from Yi Junlin, the saints present from the heavenly court were Tong Wudi, Lu Wangshu, Hong Chenny, Li Wuji, Li Ruotong, and Bu Qinfen. The remaining half-saints were as many as hundreds, and they were basically old faces, the ones who had been immortal emperors before. Just when the atmosphere was relatively harmonious, an anxious cry came. Report. A large foreign army was detected to attack, and it was less than 1,000,000 miles away from the Holy Realm. In an instant, the atmosphere on the scene suddenly dropped to freezing point. Everyone's face changed drastically. They are coming. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet, target _ type, mix. Chapter 692, Get Some Goods for Me. When they learned that Juyu's army was about to arrive, Lu Wangshu and others couldn't help but feel nervous. They know that this time is different from the past, and it truly determines the life and death of the holy world. Lu Wangshu took out a token and injected it with holy power. A huge light screen appeared in front of him, showing the vast scene of the outer starry sky. At this time, dense black spots began to appear on the screen, spreading quickly like a vast ocean. Upon closer inspection, there were countless giant holy ships, moving war fortresses, and Juyu riding holy beasts and holding soldiers. Creatures. They were as numerous as stars, and wherever they passed, the power of the holy power was overwhelming, forming an extremely terrifying sense of oppression. The void along the way was trembling, and the entire starry sky seemed to feel fear. In just a few breaths, he broke into the defense line of the holy world. If not stopped in time, this terrifying 9 netherworld army will work together to smash the holy world into pieces and turn it into dust in the universe. Seeing this scene, the crisis of death loomed in everyone's mind, making it difficult for all the monks to breathe, and their fighting spirit was dampened. After all, they had no idea about the era-level world-destroying order, and they thought it was larger than the previous extraterritorial army. However, when they saw the real scene with their own eyes, it directly brought a huge psychological shock. To know, there are only a few saints on their side, but there are at least millions of them in the army sent by the opponent. Is this the foundation of being a super powerful force in the universe? It's too exaggerated. At this moment, everyone in heaven recognized the difference in strength, and for the first time had a clear understanding of sitting in a well and looking at the sky. No way. In the final analysis, the holy world is just a small holy world that has just developed, and it is still the bottom one. The army dispatched by Juyu is composed of saints drawn from all walks of life under its command, including the large-scale holy world. Like sand forming a sea, the gap is immediately apparent. Don't think that 1 million saints are a lot. You must know that there are countless life forms in the entire universe. Now is the era of the holy way. For a small world, saints are very scarce, but if there are 10,000 or 100,000, what about millions of small worlds? That adds up to a significant number. As for the holy world, it is weak and cannot be compared with a superforce like Juyu. It's like an ant facing a giant dragon. If the dragon sneezes even slightly, it can fly away. At this moment, everyone was gloomy and in a particularly heavy mood. Lu Wangshu reacted from the shock and sighed helplessly, "Do your best and obey fate." Unlike others who were pessimistic, Yi Junline's eyes were shining and he was extremely excited. Damn it, damn it, damn it. An army of saints of this size is simply too friendly to the human emperor banner. Yi Junline could no longer imagine how huge the increase in power would be if such a large number of Holy Realm dead souls were absorbed into the human emperor banner. Moreover, there were countless Holy Realm soul slaves acting as his thugs. It was simply ridiculously powerful. Emperor of Heaven, Bu Qinfen said with an ugly expression. He is not afraid of death, but is afraid of meaningless death. After all, the strength gap between the two sides is really too big, not even of the same magnitude. Even if he rushed in, he would probably burp in less than 2 seconds. How can you resist in this situation? Yi Junline said. Everything is going according to plan. In short, as long as I am here, this battle can be fought. The tone was full of confidence, with an air of no doubt. Everyone's expressions changed slightly. With Master here, we will never lose. Li Wuji is a die-hard fan. Judging from his past experience, he believes that as long as his master dares to say this, there will be absolutely no problem. As a disciple, all he has to do is follow orders without any brains. Hong Chenny looked calm and said, "That's right." Seeing the reaction of the two disciples, the monks looked at each other with astonishment in their eyes. Now that you've got this, don't you feel panic at all? Simply incomprehensible. Old Lu, I'll leave it to you to make arrangements. Yi Junline ordered. Lu Wangshu exhaled heavily. Although he felt very weak, he had no choice but to cheer up and resist the foreign enemies according to his previous arrangement. Lu Wangshu began to hold his breath and concentrate, making hand seals with his hands. The handprints were unpredictable. Then he pointed to a certain position and shouted. Everyone has returned home for a while, open. Boom. The entire majestic heaven was shaking violently, and the sky was filled with golden runes covering the surface of the heaven, as if it was wrapped in a golden ball of light. Lu Wangshu dodged and landed on the center of the formation, holding a Dharma flag and injecting holy power into it, using himself as a medium to connect the monks. "Everyone, send your power to me." After everyone heard this, they followed the instructions one after another, and holy auras of different colors emerged from their bodies, like burning flames. Moment. Hundreds of different forces gathered together and concentrated on the Dharma flag in Lu Wangshu's hand. The Dharma flag bloomed with bright light and its aura fluctuated strongly. Among them, 6 saints including Hong Chenny. Yi Junlin is excluded. First of all, his cultivation is in the realm of heavenly saint, which means that the formation arranged by Lu Wangshu cannot accommodate it. It is currently limited to the category of true saint. Even so, with the blessings of 6 true saints and hundreds of semi-saints, the power of this return of sentient beings has been superimposed to a terrifying level, at least far beyond the level of true saints. What concept? Even the Ghost Blade Heavenly Saint in front and Shu Yaolin of the Divine Eye clan, the two of them working together, could not resist the power of this formation at this moment. This is Lu Wangshu's most proud masterpiece. Idea. Yi Junlin praised on the side. He had to admit that Lu Wangshu's formation talent was top-notch, and he was worthy of being the strongest formation master in the last era. Now that his cultivation has kept up with the pace, he will definitely make great achievements in the future. At the same time, the 9 Nether army has already pressed on, and the vastness is like the sea, with no end in sight, giving people a strong visual impact and a terrifying sense of oppression. Kill, kill, kill. The shouts of killing were deafening and spread throughout the Holy Realm. The Holy Realm cultivators were shocked, and when they looked up, a flash of extreme shock flashed in their eyes. Oh no, the demons from outside the domain are invading. Their aura is so terrifying, even though we are hundreds of millions of miles apart, I feel very depressed. What should we do? What should we do? Fuck, fight them. ... When seeing the tip of the iceberg of the 9 Nether army, the vast majority of the monks in the Holy Realm were shocked, and there was an indescribable fear in their hearts. This lineup is simply not something they can resist. Many people were full of despair and lost their fighting spirit, while there were also people who were full of blood and decided to fight to the death. You natives, today is your death day. A senior general in the 9 Nether Legion stood on the head of the bone dragon, his body shrouded in dark armor, revealing only a pair of gloomy eyes looking down at the common people, and a cold and hoarse voice came from the mask, as if the god of death made a judgment. He raised the sword in his hand, swung it down fiercely, and shouted. Kill. Chapter 693 The Only Hope. As soon as the voice fell, countless 9 Nether creatures rode on holy beasts, raised their weapons, and launched a swift charge. Along the way, they dragged out a series of brilliant dark red rainbows, like a meteorite rain covering the sky, which was extremely oppressive. They are coming, they are coming. The scalps of the holy world creatures were numb, and they shouted in panic, like ants about to be trampled by giants, with deep despair in their hearts. At the critical moment, a vast force suddenly broke out, sweeping towards the first batch of enemy troops like a storm. This team has a total of 100,000 semi-saints and 1,000 true saint level 9 Nether cultivators, all of whom are outstanding from the constant fighting. However, in front of this vast force, they were like a mantis trying to stop a chariot, and were rushed to pieces, with most of them killed or injured. This is not over yet. Countless lightsabers burst out in an instant, turning into a sky-wide rain of light that enveloped the teams. As a result, under this sudden attack, it was like a fragile mud wall was washed away by a flood, and there were heavy casualties in an instant. Ah! Screams rang out one after another, spreading across the sky. All the beings in the Holy Realm were shocked. The saints they regarded as gods were vulnerable at this moment and were slaughtered like pigs and dogs. Huh! Discovering this abnormality, the Juyu general looked cold and followed the source of the breath. When he saw the behemoth, his face suddenly changed drastically. This is... No one expected that the attack just now was launched by the Heavenly Court. This majestic and magnificent Heavenly Court was shrouded in a golden light group, with purple air and auspicious light in the sky, which further showed its sacred and inviolable meaning, representing the most orthodox status between heaven and earth. Lu Wangshu held the flag in his hand, his face calm and calm. Behind him stood a group of the highest fighting forces in the Heavenly Court, providing him with their own power. So it was you who did it. The Juyu general was very angry, feeling humiliated. After all, in his opinion, the Juyu army was invincible once it arrived, but before they could start killing, they lost tens of thousands of true saints and countless half-saints. This was a shame for the Juyu world. Go, kill those natives. The cold and ruthless voice echoed in all directions with murderous intent. Kill! Countless Juyu monks pressed forward in a mighty force, and the soldiers in their hands each released a terrifying energy, bombarding the heavenly court to destroy it. The scene was so grand and frightening. Defend! Lu Wangshu uttered a word, waving the flag in his hand a few times, as if changing a certain formation mode. Suddenly, light shields condensed around the heavenly court, presenting a square shape, blocking it tightly. Boom 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 boom. The exterior of the heavenly palace was hit hard. Whether it was the pavilions and palaces, or the holy mountains and pools, they were all trembling visibly at this moment. Thunder! Destroy! Lu Wangshu waved the flag again and shouted. Zilla-la-la! Countless arcs of lightning surrounded the surface of the heavenly palace, and the aura became more and more terrifying. Then, dense lightning was shot out like a divine punishment, turning the entire sky into a vast sea of thunder. In the sea of thunder, one after another, the 9 netherworld cultivators could not hold on, their bodies gradually collapsed and disintegrated, and they let out heart-wrenching screams. In this way, more than 100,000 semi-saints died, and nearly thousands of true saints died. Even Lu Wangshu himself was shocked by the effect of the formation. He thought it would be very powerful, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. Lu Wangshu is currently a 3rd-level formation saint, and can arrange a top-grade true saint formation. Although this level of formation is a great killing weapon in the realm of true saints, the effect will not be so exaggerated under normal circumstances. In the final analysis, it all depends on the people who support him. Tong Wudi is the son of destiny in this world, and he is almost invincible in the same realm. Li Ruotong and Bu Qinfen are first-class true saints. The most important ones are Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji. One has the flame saint body, which can provide endless energy, and the other has the crazy demon bloodline and a strong physique. With the blessing of this lineup, Lu Wangshu's formation is so powerful. It is so powerful that it can kill at the level of true saints. Yi Junlin was watching from the side. At this time, he was not idle either, holding the human emperor banner to summon souls. Seeing the souls in the banner constantly filling up, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Yes, that's it, you guys keep working hard. So far, there are more than 10,000 true saints and more than 200,000 half-saints in the human emperor banner. They have all been transformed into soul slaves and stay in the banner honestly. Yi Junlin is ready to give the group of 9 nether strongmen a big surprise at the last moment. At this time, the beast storage bag moved, and a dazzling stream of light flew out of it, turning into a huge kunpeng in the sky, with a mighty holy power. Akun, you're awake. Yi Junlin said in surprise. Ever since Akun devoured several semi-holy beasts of Yuanhua, he fell into a long sleep. Now that he has awakened from his sleep, he has transformed into a powerful holy beast in one fell swoop. As a pure-blooded kunpeng, after entering the holy realm, the invisible aura he exudes is extremely terrifying, which directly makes many holy beasts in the Juyu army feel uneasy. Strange, why are they fighting? Akun woke up from his sleep and saw this scene. He was so shocked that his eyes widened and his face was confused. Akun, they are bad guys, you should go back to the formation and contribute your strength. Yi Junlin said. Oh. Kun felt a little depressed when he encountered this kind of thing when he first came out, but he also knew that the situation was critical and obeyed his master's orders immediately. Afterwards, Akun transformed into a young man, came to the formation, copied the gourd, and sent his own power to Lu Wangshu. With the addition of Akun, a powerful character, all sentient beings will burst out with even more powerful aura fluctuations. Swish swish swish, vast energy beams spurted out, containing destructive energy fluctuations, bombarding the Juyu army in all directions. The fall of each beam of light was accompanied by screams, and corpses all over the sky fell one after another, and blood rained down, torrential. At this moment, the heavenly court was like a mobile war fortress, killing a group of Juyu monks, both offensive and defensive, and had the upper hand in this battle without any sign of being at a disadvantage. Seeing this scene, all living beings in the holy world were excited, and their eyes filled with excitement. Long live heaven! Heaven is invincible. As long as heaven is here, our holy world will not perish. It's so strong. The 5 sacred areas boiled like the sea, and the fear just now was swept away. The Juyu general looked extremely ugly and gritted his teeth and said, "In this case, we have to send out the main force." Then, he secretly sent a message to inform the main force deployed in the outer starry sky to officially invade the holy world. Compared with the main force, the troops lost in the front are just a drop in the bucket, not even injured. A moment, the entire holy world was trembling, the vast sky was shattered, and the void was collapsing inch by inch. It seemed that it could not withstand this huge impact. Countless holy ships are like giant steel beasts attacking in groups, bringing a terrifying pressure even from a long distance away. Everyone, destroy the heavenly court first. The Juyu general provided directions remotely and transmitted the message. After receiving the news, the mansion holy ship aimed its muzzles at the heavens. The muzzles condensed endless energy, and then ejected waves of terrifying energy shock waves. Each energy shock wave is equivalent to a full blow from the top heavenly saint, and even the strong ones from the God Eye clan had to resist it with difficulty. Not good. Lu Wangshu broke into a cold sweat and quickly took countermeasures. He manipulated the formation to make Tianting give up the attack and enter a full defense mode, hoping to resist this wave of attacks. Rumble, 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 rumble. After a while, the heaven was flooded by the sea of energy and light. Earth-shattering explosions spread throughout every corner of the holy world, frightening hundreds of millions of living beings with fearful and uneasy expressions on their faces. Heaven, many fell to their knees with tears streaming down their faces. Seeing such a battle scene, even if they wanted to join the battle, they would be powerless. In the fight between giant dragons, what's the use of throwing in more ants? Therefore, most monks know that the survival of the holy world depends on heaven at this moment. Chapter 694 The Consequences of a Snap of Fingers. Faced with the concentrated fire attack of a group of holy warships, the heavenly court was completely in a passive state, and the strength just now disappeared. After all, the all-living beings returning formation is currently only a top-grade true saint level formation. Combined with the strength of Lu Wangshu and others, it can only resist some heavenly saint level strongmen at most. However, every attack of the holy warships is equivalent to the full-strength attack of the top heavenly saint. In this case, how can it be resisted? The entire heavenly court was shaking violently, and cracks gradually appeared on the light shield on the surface, as if it could not bear the weight. Lu Wangshu looked ugly and gritted his teeth and said, "This is trouble." Everyone's forehead overflowed with beads of sweat, and the holy power in their bodies was madly decreasing. Seeing the situation take a sharp turn for the worse, they all felt extremely heavy. Once the protective shield is breached, the heavenly court will be in a catastrophe. "Master, what should we do?" Li Wuji asked subconsciously. In his impression, every time he encountered a major danger, the silver-haired young man could deal with it calmly and turn danger into safety. Therefore, Li Wuji was calmer than others, because he felt that as long as the master was present, any crisis could be solved. As soon as the voice fell, countless suspicious eyes were focused on Yi Junlin. Emperor, Bu Qinfen and the others had complicated expressions. Although they wanted to believe Yi Junlin, from their perspective, they really couldn't think of how to turn the tide and change the situation at this critical moment. Looking at the holy ships in the sky, Yi Junlin was not panicked at all, and there was a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. It's time. The backhand he arranged will be fully revealed at this moment. In the astonished eyes of the crowd, Yi Junlin first pinched his fingers with one hand, and then snapped his fingers casually. Snap. Suddenly, in the sky, one by one, the heavenly saint-level formations hidden in the space emerged one by one, releasing strong energy fluctuations. A dense and terrifying storm filled with black thunder appeared, raging unscrupulously among the holy ships. The hard shell, originally made of holy iron, was extremely fragile in front of the countless thunderstorms, and was torn into pieces in a short while. Some of the 9 nether saints who were in charge of the interior were directly affected, and were caught in the thunderstorm and their bodies were crushed, and they died without a complete corpse. Ah! The shrill screams filled the air, making people shudder. Looking around, there were torn steel holy ships everywhere. The hulls were either broken into 2 pieces and severely damaged, or crushed into pieces. In short, they were as thin as brittle paper in front of the thunderstorm, and were useless. All the creatures on board died tragically, and only a few of them escaped because they were not deeply involved, shouting and screaming, with horror on their faces. Quickly withdraw, we have fallen into a trap. The power of these formations is so terrifying that even our holy ships can hardly withstand such attacks. To be able to arrange a formation of this scale, the other party must be at least a 6th level formation saint. How is it possible? A 6th level formation saint? There is such a person in such a remote place. Incredible exclamations arose everywhere, and many Juyu monks were shocked and stopped in their tracks at the raging thunderstorm in front of them. In today's era, formation saints are regarded as important strategic talents no matter which force they are in. A powerful formation saint can even change the direction of the battle, and his role is stronger than countless saints. The formation saints are divided into 9 levels. The first 3 levels correspond to the true saints, the middle 3 levels correspond to the heavenly saints, and the last 3 levels correspond to the ancient saints. The formations that the Juyu army is facing now are the top-grade heavenly saint level formations. Any of them has the power to strangle the top heavenly saint. At this time, thousands of formations were launched together, which directly caused the 9 Nether army to suffer a huge loss. No one knew. Due to the formation saint experience package given by the system before, Yi Junlin had already reached the level of a 9th level formation saint in terms of formation level, but due to the reason of cultivation, the effect was limited. In addition, the arrangement of such formations requires relevant saint level materials, so Yi Junlin can only arrange a top-grade heavenly saint level formation at most. If all conditions are met, Yi Junlin can arrange a top-level ancient saint level formation and perfectly exert his strength as a 9th level formation saint. At this moment, a large number of holy ships were destroyed. This invincible steel torrent was almost destroyed in just half an incense stick of time. Witnessing this scene, everyone in the heavenly court was dumbfounded. Fuck, 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 ... In the crowd, one sentence after another sounded, simple and rough, containing the ultimate shock. Everyone was stunned, staring at this spectacular scene in a daze. This reversal was beyond their expectations. Master really has a way. I knew it. Li Wuji raised his chin, his expression very proud, and glanced at the stunned people from the corner of his eyes, as if I had guessed it a long time ago. Haha, anyway, I have never worried. Hong Chenny stood with his hands behind his back, and said lightly, as if this was a small scene in his eyes, not worth mentioning. Bu Qinfen and the others could not remain calm, their hearts were thumping wildly. At this moment they finally understood why these 2 disciples trusted the master so much. It turned out that this operation was commonplace. Especially Lu Wangshu, when he saw so many top-notch Tiansheng level formations appear, the shock he brought to his heart was quite great. Because he always thought that he was the strongest formation master in the heaven or even in the world. In the end, the master was actually by his side. Lu Wangshu swallowed hard with difficulty, feeling very complicated, and secretly asked, "Friend Yi, how can your formation level be so high? Who taught you all this?" He really wanted to know about this. After all, even he couldn't set up these advanced formations at present, and it was definitely not something that could be learned overnight. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Does this need to be taught? What? Lu Wangshu was stunned as if he had been struck by a bolt from the blue, and this sentence kept echoing in his mind. This needs to be taught. Still need to be taught. To teach. To Lu Wangshu, this means self-taught. It's ridiculous that he calls himself a formation genius, unmatched by anyone. Even if he lags behind the times due to special reasons, as long as he is given enough time, he can still catch up and stand at the top of the formation world again. Unexpectedly, the appearance of Yi Junlin gave him a head-on blow, greatly hurting his self-esteem. What a joke! He entered the industry later than him, but his achievements are higher than his. Moreover, he learned it by himself, which is better than his endless years of accumulation. Compared with him, his previous achievements are not worth mentioning at all. Genius, you are the real genius. Lu Wangshu's tone was bitter, and he didn't know whether to cry or laugh, but he thought about it and thought that he should be happy to have such a person leading them. It's ridiculous that he wanted to teach the other party about formations before, but this move was simply a show of skill in front of an expert. The other party didn't need him to teach at all. No wonder he was directly rejected in the inheritance of the fallen immortal island. You want to learn? I'll teach you. Yi Junlin remembered a line in the movie and said casually. Lu Wangshu's pupils trembled, and there was an expectation on his face that was hard to hide. Really? Although it was a bit embarrassing, it was worth it to learn new things and improve his formation level. It's fake, don't take it seriously. Yi Junlin waved his hand. Lu Wangshu was stunned, and after holding his breath for a long time, he blurted out. Fuck, are you kidding me? Chapter 695. 100,000 ancient saints come in person. Seeing this tragic scene, the soldiers of Juyu were all frightened. They realized that this was a trap to lure the enemy deeper. After all, who knew there was such a powerful formation saint in this world, who had already arranged a series of formations and was waiting for them to fall into the trap? If he knew better, he would have made preparations and would not have chosen such a radical approach. But now, it's too late. This army of holy ships was an important force in the 9 Nether Legion. Now it was almost destroyed, and the overall losses were heavy. Damn it, you dare to play tricks on us. Who set up these formations? Come forward. Luo Man, the general of Juyu, could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. He became angry and shouted angrily. Boom! The terrifying holy energy is like a mighty river, sweeping across the world. This holy power is far stronger than all the people in front of it combined. The holy world Tiandao was so frightened that he hid and did not dare to say a word. Because it can feel that this extraterrestrial creature is very powerful. Luo Man, from the Asura clan, was at the pinnacle of the ancient saints. He was canonized as a great prince in the clan and had a very high status. This time he was ordered to take the lead in conquering the holy world in order to win a completely suppressive victory. However, since the army entered the holy realm, it has still been in a situation of constant consumption. On the other hand, heaven is intact. This is in sharp contrast to the army of kings he led. It was like being hit in the head with a blow, making me dizzy. Everyone's hearts sank, and their faces became solemn. Luo Man's aura made them feel very uneasy. Compared with this group of 9 nether saints, they looked like minions. Yi Junline's eyes were playful. I arranged it, what's wrong? Luo Man's eyes fell on Yi Junline through the thunderstorms, his eyes burst out with a terrifying cold light, and his tone was extremely murderous. It turns out to be you. In addition to the leader of the 9 Nether Legion, Luo Man also has another identity, that is, a close associate of the Patriarch Luo Wuliang. Because of the previous incident with the little princess, the Patriarch gave him a death order, that is, he must destroy the heaven and kill everyone. Kill the Lord of Heaven and vent his evil anger on the little princess. Now, the culprit's clever tricks have caused heavy losses to his army of holy ships. Isn't this a slap in the face? Luo Man felt a great sense of humiliation, and laughed angrily. Do you think you can stop us with these formations? You will understand next that all this is in vain, and the result has not changed, then even you will die, and this world will be destroyed too. Yi Junline sneered. Then you can give it a try, but I want to see what else you are capable of. Haha, let me show you the horror brought about by the calamity-level world-destroying order. Luo Man stood majestically on the bone dragon, holding a sword high above his head, and his tone was extremely oppressive. Send my order and all the troops will launch an attack on the heaven. Boom! The rows of war fortresses that were originally left behind in the rear area rushed towards their destinations after receiving the order. Each towering and majestic war fortress, comparable to the planet, moved rapidly in the sky like a steel behemoth. At this time, they gathered together densely, creating an extremely terrifying scene. To be honest, if the immortal world had not transformed into the holy world, otherwise the previous world scale would not be able to accommodate such a large number of war fortresses. Moreover, each war fortress is made of ultra-high-density holy iron. The fortress accommodates a large number of saint teams, each of which is led by a group of ancient saint-level powerhouses. They are the most terrifying force in the 9 Nether Legion. For a while, the strong wind roared and the void shattered. Thousands of figures rushed out of the fortress, their whole bodies glowing like 100,000 suns in the sky. The scene was very shocking. Everyone in the heaven was shocked, and their hearts were trembling wildly. Just because, without exception, the group of figures rushing out exuded the aura of ancient saint-level cultivation. The vast sea-like holy energy covered the heaven and earth, making the whole world eclipse and lose all its luster. The thunderstorms that could easily tear apart the holy ship were like small wind waves at this moment, being crossed by them with their bodies, and there was no need to resist them at all. This scene really shocked everyone. How strong is the ancient sage? For example, the most ordinary ancient saint can suppress 100,000 heavenly saints with just a raised hand. Compared with the heavenly sage who has the blessing of holy patterns, the ancient sage also has its own difference, that is, it can condense the holy will. The level of the holy will is directly related to the future, and the function of the holy will is to be integrated into every move, bursting out with far more terrifying power than before. This is the superiority of being an ancient saint. Theoretically, a small holy world can only give birth to one ancient saint when it develops to its best. Only in a medium-sized holy world can the number of ancient saints increase, but not many. There are only 3 in the top of the sky, number. At this moment, there are actually 100,000 ancient saints in this 9 Nether Legion. Just imagine how desperate this must be. This is the most terrifying part of the era-level world-destroying order. Facing the joint siege of 100,000 ancient saints, any medium-sized holy world will perish. Let alone a newly developed world like the holy world. It's no wonder that so many creatures in the universe were not optimistic about Heavenly Court before, feeling that Heavenly Court was setting themselves on fire and destroying themselves. After all, the gap in strength was so huge that there was no suspense at all. See, this is the gap. I admit that you in heaven are a little capable, but it is far from enough to go against me, Juyu. Luo Man said with a high attitude and sneered. Everyone in heaven fell silent, and no one refuted. At present, we can only pin our hopes on the silver-haired young man. The strange thing is, Yi Junlin was not panicked, and even when he saw the appearance of these 100,000 ancient saints, his eyes showed a touch of fiery meaning, just like a poor man who saw a lot of gold and wanted to put it all into a sack. Okay, I'm waiting for you. After saying that, Yi Junlin took a step forward, flashed away from heaven, and intercepted these 100,000 figures. But in the eyes of the vast number of uninformed cultivators, his figure seemed so lonely and lonely. Emperor, many people cried bitterly, and their hearts were deeply touched. The Emperor of Heaven is fighting to the death alone to protect us. A white-haired old man cried with tears streaming down his face, kneeling on the ground, staring at the tall silver-haired figure, and cried out sadly. Even if I die with him, it's worth it. Another young man cried. In the 5 holy domains, the people were in grief, and cries and shouts came one after another. In the eyes of countless cultivators, the Lord of Heaven's move was too lonely and brave, which invisibly added a layer of tragic color. Worthy of the oath to protect the holy world. Hearing these cries, Yi Junlin was speechless. Hey, you guys are too dramatic, right? Who said I was going to die? I'm going to pretend to be cool, okay. Chapter 696 Normal Operation. Are you here to die alone? That's right, the bunch of rubbish behind you can't help you anyway. Luo Man sneered. Yi Junlin said meaningfully, isn't it me who surrounded you? As soon as this was said, all the ancient saints, including Luo Man, were stunned. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, loud laughter rang out, full of ridicule. The ancient saints looked at Yi Junlin as if they were looking at a fool. Luo Man sneered. This dignified Lord of Heaven seems to be scared silly by us, and can even say such stupid things. Yi Junlin was not annoyed, and said in a pitying tone, in my eyes, you came all the way here just to die, because it's easy for me to kill you. Quote. Hearing this, the laughter stopped abruptly. Instead, there was a murderous intent as vast as the sea, sweeping across the 8 directions and filling every inch of space. Every ancient saint-level warrior stared at Yi Junlin, their faces full of murderous intent. Luo Man's face was gloomy. He really couldn't understand why this person dared to speak so arrogantly at this point. Could it be that he was just talking nonsense before his death? Go ahead, grind this man to ashes. Luo Man, the highest-ranking commander in the Legion, pointed at several 9 nether strongmen and ordered. In an instant, 4 ferocious figures flashed away like ghosts, attacking Yi Junlin from 4 directions respectively, and all of them were blessed by the saint's will. It can be said that they were extremely careful and did not give him any chance. These 4 ancient saints thought that Yi Junlin was a 6th-level formation saint, and he was afraid that he knew the space formation, so they had to block the surrounding space in advance to avoid any tricks. But they were obviously overthinking, and Yi Junlin didn't want to do this at all. Facing the suppression of the 4 ancient saints, a wonderful system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding, the host is detected to be attacked by an ancient saint level 1 enemy, now triggering the passive effect of getting stronger when encountering a strong enemy, and gaining the cultivation of the ancient saint level 2. Closing square bracket. The next moment, an extremely terrifying aura burst out from Yi Junlin's body, and a steady stream of holy power flowed in his body. The center of his eyebrows was still shining, which was a sign of the concentration of holy will. Boom! The 4 9 nether ancient saints only felt that there was a vast force coming towards them, and the holy power even frightened them, and their blood almost solidified. Not good. Unfortunately, it was too late. Yi Junlin recklessly released the newly acquired power and directly blew up the 4 9 nether ancient saints in the air, spilling blood on the ground. Silence. Deathly silence. Everyone stared blankly. The 9 nether ancient saints were silent at first, and then in an uproar. Luo Man was shocked, and his tone was full of surprise that could not be concealed. You are also an ancient saint. To be honest, this is very scary. How long has the Holy Realm developed, and an ancient saint has been born? You know, even the heavenly Tao of this world is only a half-step heavenly saint. Under such restrictions on the rules of the Holy Tao, how could there be a living being who can cultivate to the realm of the ancient saint? This is simply incredible. It goes against common sense. Is this the power of the ancient saint? It feels really different. Yi Junlin calmed down and carefully felt the completely different power in his body, with a subtle arc at the corner of his mouth. Especially this so-called holy intention, which brought him a great improvement. Strange, why do I feel that the holy intention of those 4 guys just now is not as powerful as mine? Yi Junlin frowned, and this made him feel extremely obvious. If the holy intention of those 4 guys is compared to soft soil, then his holy intention is hard steel. This is also why the holy intention of those 4 people dissipated after the collision just now. It's not even the same level. Tongzi, come and explain it. Yi Junlin said. At this time, asking the system is the right choice. Ding, reply to the host, the holy will is divided into 6 stages. The holy will of the scholar grade, the holy will of the monarch grade, the holy will of the king grade, the holy will of the emperor grade, the holy will of the emperor grade, the holy will of the emperor grade, and the holy will of the emperor grade. Under normal circumstances, the holy will condensed by the ancient saints or all the holy will of the scholar grade, which is the lowest. Closing square bracket. And the host currently has the holy will of the king grade. Because the host condensed the crown of the great heavenly position during the period of the immortal emperor, so he has the holy will of the king grade after breaking through the ancient saint. Closing square bracket. Warm reminder, the holy will can be improved. The stronger the grade, the greater the help to the later realm. If you want to break through the holy king realm, the holy will must first be the holy will of the king grade. Closing square bracket. The system explained. Yi Junlin suddenly realized that this is the case. Unexpectedly, the level of the immortal emperor is so important and has an extremely huge connection with the later holy realm. Starting directly with the holy will of the king grade, it is really awesome. No wonder the 4 were so vulnerable. The difference in their saintly intentions was too great. Too weak. Is there anyone who can fight better? Or you can come together? Yi Junlin immediately threatened. Luo Man was furious. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He shouted, come on, all of you. Kill this native. He realized that Yi Junlin was a terrifying threat. It had only been a short time since he grew to this point. It was no exaggeration to call him a rare evildoer in the world. Fortunately, he led a team to suppress it. Otherwise, if it was a little later, the threat to Juyu would be even greater. Swish, swish, swish. Groups of ancient saint-level strongmen could no longer hold back their anger. They all went out with great momentum, determined to kill this arrogant man. It is true that it is embarrassing to think about bullying a small number by bullying one person in such a big way to deal with one person, but so what? Extraordinary times call for special treatment. Anyway, after going back, just keep it tight-lipped. Well done. Looking at the surging ancient sage, Yi Junlin did not panic at all, and looked extremely excited. Behind him, the phantom of the human emperor banner loomed. The 4 dead 9 nether ancient saints and several dead souls were being refined in the banner at this moment, increasing the power of the human emperor banner. This thing is like stacking a murder book. The more you stack it, the more powerful it becomes. Anyone who has played this type of game knows everything. Boom boom boom. The holy spells came like a gust of wind and rain, containing terrifying power. Ding, it is detected that the host is attacked by an enemy at the 4th level of the ancient sage. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering a strong enemy, and obtains the cultivation level of the ancient sage at the 5th level. Close black lens bracket. Ding, it is detected that the host is attacked by an enemy at the 6th level of the ancient sage. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering a strong one, and gains the cultivation level of the 7th level of the ancient sage. Close black lens bracket. Ding, it is detected that the host is attacked by an enemy at the 8th level of the ancient sage. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering a strong one, and gains the cultivation level of the ancient sage at the 9th level. Close black lens bracket. System prompts sounded one after another. Yi Junlin's aura was also rising crazily, causing the world to change color. His punches, palms and fingers, under the blessing of Wangpan's holy will, seemed to turn into deadly weapons, directly killing a bloody path among tens of thousands of ancient saints. Ah! Screams and wails could be heard endlessly. The holy blood poured down like heavy rain, dyeing the sky blood-colored. During this period, ancient saints died one after another, and their souls were sucked into the banner of the human emperor. When the time came, Yi Junlin directly held the human emperor banner in one hand and the human emperor sword in the other, and charged in and out. In the countless shocking eyes between heaven and earth, the silver-haired young man was killing like a god of death. The life of an ancient saint was like a leek in his hands, harvesting it wantonly. How is this possible? Luo Man's scalp was numb and he lost his voice in shock. The other party's cultivation level is not only similar to his, they are both at the 9th level of the ancient sage, but their strength is also so powerful, far surpassing those in the same realm. Wait a minute, his holy will is the king's holy will. After seeing the clue, Luo Man's eyelids were twitching wildly. Even he has just condensed the holy will of the false king. Why on earth can this native be one step ahead of him? No wonder the Emperor of Heaven is so confident. It turns out that he has hidden such a strong cultivation level. Now we are saved, Bu Qinfen said excitedly. Looking at the invincible silver-haired figure in the crowd, Li Ruotong was in a daze, causing an uproar in his heart. She originally thought that by breaking through to the true saint, she could at least follow the opponent's footsteps, but it turned out that the opponent's cultivation speed was unbelievable. It took only a short time to reach the realm of the ancient saint, and now she could hardly even see her back. Compared with this man, my qualifications are so poor. Li Ruotong felt sad and deeply affected. This sentence also left all the heavenly monks speechless, and they were also shocked and unable to refute. Indeed, their strongest one was in the realm of true saints, and he was still far away from the heavenly saints. As a result, that man was already an ancient saint. It's really incomparable, incomparable. Master is master, always walking in front of us. He is usually so low-key, but he hides hundreds of millions of bits of cultivation. I admire him, Li Wuji sighed with admiration on his face. There was a hint of confusion in Hong Chenyi's expression, and she coughed a few times and said calmly. This is all normal operations. With his previous experience, he has long been accustomed to Yi Junline's strange speed of improvement. He becomes stronger when he encounters a strong one, with no upper limit. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumb speed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 697 Trapped in the Human Wave Tactic. Under the shocked gaze of everyone, Yi Junline killed a group of ancient saints heartily, and blood rained down. 1 against 10,000, invincible. After all, Yi Junline mastered the king's holy will, and these 9 nether ancient saints were almost all scholars' holy will, and the more powerful ones were the Jun's holy will. From this point on, there was a huge gap. Coupled with his human emperor sword and the increasingly powerful human emperor flag, he was like a tiger king rushing into a pack of jackals, so ferocious that the winner could be determined almost in a single face-to-face encounter. There were originally 100,000 ancient saints, but not long after, more than 10,000 were slaughtered. Luo Man's scalp was numb, he had to personally intervene. Otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous. You bunch of trash, get out of here. A loud shout was astonishing. The billowing Shira energy turned into dark purple wings, causing considerable ripples in the air as they flapped. Luo Man jumped up with a sword in his hand, his body turned into a trembling black arc, and the extremely terrifying power erupted from his body, shaking away the ancient saints of Juyu along the way. In the shocked eyes, he rushed straight towards Yi Junline. Yi Junline, who had just killed a strong man, noticed a violent aura approaching from the rear left, and this aura was the only one that attracted his attention. Dang! The swords collided fiercely, and the raging sword energy surged freely. Yi Junline was holding the human emperor sword, and the sword body resisted the sharp blade, making it difficult for him to advance even an inch. Die! Luo Man roared angrily, his eyes bloodshot like wild beasts. The sword was wrapped with countless Shira Qi, and the power was rapidly adding up, like a majestic holy mountain pressing down on him. Unexpectedly, Yi Junline still didn't move at all, and the body of the human emperor sword burst out with golden light, which was extremely gorgeous. The two sides engaged in a few more moves, swords clashed, and the sound of gold and iron clashing could be heard. During the battle, Luo Man's blood boiled from the beginning, but soon his blood turned to ice, and he felt increasingly uneasy. Because he found that no matter how hard he tried, he could always be easily blocked by the opponent. It was almost effortless. To know, his Shira Qi is dark purple, second only to the dark red of the royal family members. The most important thing is that it has been developed to the extreme. Both attack and defense speeds have been increased 90 times on the original basis. This is the peak that the dark purple Shira Qi can develop, which is enough to prove Luo Man's extraordinary ability as the clan leader's confidant. What's more, the sword he is holding is a top-quality ancient holy weapon. With this combination, one sword can kill an ordinary ancient saint, and two swords can make a slightly more powerful ancient saint. As a result, Yi Junline was still unable to be harmed, not even suppressed. This is very disturbing. Seeing that the other party was slightly panicked, Yi Junlin raised a meaningful smile at the corner of his mouth. It seems that you are nothing more than that. Boom. Luo Man's figure was blown backwards by a force, blood spilled from the corner of his mouth, and he said angrily, "Why are you standing there in a daze? Come on." Yes, the ancient sages watching the battle were depressed. Damn it, we thought you were going to fight one-on-one, but you ended up asking us to help you. Knowing that the situation was critical, the ancient saints did not dare to neglect, and they all launched a surprise attack on Yi Junlin. With sufficient foreign aid joining, Luo Man felt that the pressure was much lessened, and sneered, "After all, we have the advantage in numbers. As long as we continue to hold you back, you will run out of strength sooner or later." Yeah, Yi Junlin plays with taste. He knew that the other party had a successful plan. After all, tens of thousands of ancient saints were supporting him. Under the influence of the human sea tactics, they were wearing down him step by step. This was the so-called ant kills the elephant to death. But it's a pity that he has the biggest trump card, but he just hasn't played it yet. Because the heat hasn't arrived yet. Kill ah ah ah. The shouts of killing shook the heaven and the earth, turning the sun and the moon upside down. Under the sad and angry gazes of the 5 holy realms, tens of thousands of ancient saint-level experts led by Luo Man worked together to besiege the silver-haired figure. This battle turned the world upside down, the mountains and rivers were shattered, day and night alternated crazily, and horrific visions abounded. Yi Junlin rushed left and right among the figures in the sky, but what could be noticed was that his speed was getting slower and slower, and his momentum was not as indomitable as it was at the beginning. Mainly because a strong man of Luo Man's level took the lead, which greatly increased the combat effectiveness of this ancient saint team. Originally, at this point in time, he could kill more than 10,000 ancient saints, but now he has only killed less than 5,000. This efficiency has been directly reduced by more than half, which shows how big a threat the opponent poses. Haha, are you starting to feel tired? Luo Man said while attacking and exerting verbal pressure. Yi Junlin's eyes flashed, "If you want to play, I will play with you to the end." As he spoke, a wave of ripples rippled through his body, and 2 other silver-haired figures walked out of it. They were exactly the same height and appearance, as if they were copied one-to-one. This is. Luo Man's eyes widened. He could clearly feel the 2 extra figures, their auras were the same, there was no difference at all. This is terrible, it means that these are 2 incarnations whose strength is equal to the original body. 1 me is enough to give you a headache, but what if there are 3 me? How should you deal with it? Yi Junlin joked. This is a great magical power, transforming the 3 pure beings with 1 breath. To be honest, Yi Junlin hasn't used this move for a long time, mainly because he encountered a series of opponents later who were not strong enough to use this move. After all, he couldn't handle 1, so why did he need to come up with 2 more? Now, facing the siege of tens of thousands of ancient saints, Yi Junlin, who was unable to split himself, decided to use the long-lost chi into 3 purities to ease the situation. Swish! Yi Junlin and the other 2 clones were in tune with each other and launched a fierce attack on the enemies around them. For a moment, Luo Man and the others were all startled and hurriedly responded. Yi Junlin waved his sword and pointed, and the vast golden sword energy was like a rushing river, and wherever it went, the 9 nether creatures were killed. The other 2 clones either performed the Fighting Saint Fist or the Great Wilderness Prisoner Heaven Hand, and their cooperation was seamless, causing many ancient saints to die with screams. It is worth mentioning, the basic combat power of these 2 clones is the same as that of the original body, but there is one difference, that is, the Holy Will. Compared to Yi Junlin's King Grade Holy Will, they are the next level quasi-King Grade Holy Will. In this way, the strength will be slightly worse. Luo Man was beaten to the point of spitting blood, his armor was almost broken, and his sternum collapsed. If it weren't for the Shirachi to repair his injuries, he would have been lying on the ground by now. Kill you first, Yi Junlin slashed with a sword, with a fierce momentum. The other 2 clones opened the way to cover the main body's actions, causing many ancient saints who wanted to intercept to die one after another. In a hurry, Luo Man seemed to have caught a trace of some kind of law, and his momentum rose steadily, sweeping in all directions like a storm. At this moment, his quasi-King Grade Holy Will was officially promoted to King Grade Holy Will. Chapter 698 The Emperor's Banner shows its power. High energy. Ha ha ha, I finally made it after so many years. After reacting, Luo Man was ecstatic, which meant that he would be qualified to break through to the Saint King later. The key is that the King Grade Saint will can bring him a considerable improvement in strength, which is very helpful for the current battle. Looking at the silver-haired young man in front of him, Luo Man's eyes were full of murderous intent. Once, he was also a famous super genius of the Asura clan. Later, he was appreciated by the clan leader and served under him. All along, the young generation he admired was only the peerless monster like the eldest prince. After all, he was stronger than him in terms of bloodline and qualifications, and he was convinced of his defeat. But in this remote indigenous world, there was actually a humble human race with such excellent qualifications that even the eldest prince was slightly inferior, which made it difficult for Luo Man to accept all this. I must kill you, otherwise there will be endless troubles. Luo Man roared with red eyes, holding a knife and directly facing Yi Junline's long sword. In an instant, the vibration of the metal exploded, and the sword energy shot out like a rainstorm, causing the surrounding ancient saints to dodge and panic and dare not get too close. The battle between the two sides continued, and the two figures crossed each other at the speed of light. In the process, the number of 9 nether ancient saints was sharply reduced, from 80,000 to 70,000, and then to 40,000. The battle was very tragic. At this time, Yi Junline's other 2 clones suddenly dissipated in the air by themselves. There was nothing else, it was purely because the consumption of 1 qi into 3 purities was too great, and it was unable to maintain this state. Seeing this scene, the 40,000 ancient saint-level strongmen who were originally trembling with fear seemed to see hope, and their fighting spirit was excited. Everyone, join forces to besiege that human race. Help General Luo to kill the Lord of Heaven. Kill. Seeing this, Luo Man's blood boiled again. If he relied on his own strength, there was no possibility of winning. There was still a chance of dying together, but he wanted to go back alive, so he held on until now. Fortunately, things finally took a turn for the better. The dissipation of the 2 clones meant that the other party had little holy power in his body, which was an extremely dangerous signal for the saint. As long as they continue to attack in groups, jackals can also kill tigers. Haha, you're dead now. Luo Man grinned. Strangely, Yi Junline was not panicked at all, as if he had expected this situation long ago. Although the holy power in his body was less than 30% after the previous consumption, he was fearless and had a playful smile on his lips. The fire has come, and you are the ones who should die. Come out. As soon as the voice fell, the Emperor's banner in his hand shook violently, and the flag released boiling black smoke, and the sound of ghosts and wolves howling came from it. The next second, in the unbelievable eyes of Luo Man and others, countless shadows surrounded by black air rushed out, like a volcanic eruption, shaking the earth and the sky, and the scene was very spectacular. In the heavenly palace, Lu Wangshu and others were all anxious and worried. It is true that Yi Junline stood alone, fighting in and out of the ancient saint army, with unparalleled power and invincibility, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that the situation was still not optimistic. That is, as the battle continued to consume, Yi Junline would fall into a disadvantage until he was dragged down to death. This scene was something they didn't want to see anyway. However, facing this level of competition, they couldn't get involved at all, and they didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the battle. They could only worry in the rear, which was a very uncomfortable feeling. Wait, look, the Emperor of Heaven seems to have summoned something. Tong Wudi pointed his finger and exclaimed. Everyone focused their attention and looked over. When they saw countless strange figures rushing out of the Emperor's banner, their scalps went numb and their backs felt a piercing chill. The 9 nether cultivators who had just died seemed to be resurrected at this moment, and appeared densely on the battlefield. What's going on? The 9 nether ancient saints were dumbfounded. They had never seen such a strange scene before, because these figures were all companions they knew, and they reappeared at this time. Strangely, their states were all very wrong. They were surrounded by evil black air, without a trace of living people, their eyes were bloodshot, and their faces were full of cruelty. Kill them. Yi Junline gave an order and experienced the feeling of controlling the army of undead. Under the transformation of the Emperor's banner, these 9 nether cultivators became soul slaves. No matter how they were in life, they would be unconditionally loyal to him after death. Roar. The roars like those of evil ghosts rang out one after another. Like a collective riot, countless soul slaves rushed towards the remaining 9 nether ancient saints with the same goal, which was to kill all the living creatures. Not good. The faces of the remaining 9 nether ancient saints changed drastically, and they had to give up the concentrated fire to besiege Yi Junline and turn to deal with this group of weird soul slaves. The most fatal thing was that the more than 60,000 ancient saints who died in front also launched a fierce attack on them. 60,000 ancient saint-level soul slaves, plus millions of saint soul slaves to assist, soon defeated them and suffered heavy casualties. Both in terms of quantity and overall strength, they formed a certain degree of suppression on them. Ah! The wailing and screaming resounded between heaven and earth. The souls of the ancient saint-level strongmen who were killed during the period all entered the human emperor banner, and then transformed into the form of soul slaves, continuing to besiege other living ancient saint strongmen, forming a perfect closed loop. The number dropped sharply from 40,000 to 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. Luo Man, who witnessed this scene, was so scared that beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He turned his head and stared at the culprit, his eyes showing deep fear and trembling. "You, what kind of evil treasure do you have in your hand? It can actually enslave the souls of the dead, and it can also maintain the same combat power as before the death." Luo Man knew that this was all brought by the human emperor banner in Yi Junline's hand. This kind of magic weapon has such a heaven-defying function, which is far better than all the holy weapons he has seen before. If this is known by the major forces in the universe, it will definitely set off a bloody storm, and countless strong people are willing to take risks and fight for this treasure. With all the soul slaves released by the human emperor banner, the situation of the battle was reversed at once, and Yi Junline instantly gained an absolute advantage. You know, he was waiting for this moment. All the souls who died before will become his soul slaves. This powerful Nine-Nether army will eventually fall into his hands and be used by him. You don't need to ask more about this. Anyway, you will soon become one of them, hee. Yi Junline smiled meaningfully and deliberately stopped to appreciate the other party's expression before death. These words directly made Luo Man's mentality explode. Looking at the soul slaves all over the sky frantically besieging his army, at this moment he seemed to have lost all his strength and means, and only deep despair was left in his heart. No. Chapter 699, the whole army was annihilated. Others' wedding dress. After a while, under the crazy encirclement of the soul slave army, the Juyu army, which had suffered heavy losses, was completely destroyed. The only one who was still alive was Luo Man. At this moment, the sky was full of terrifying figures, and the strange black air was lingering, which was chilling. A pair of blood-red eyes stared at the Asura clan strongman, as if as long as Yi Junline gave an order, they would pounce on him without hesitation and tear him to pieces. Looking at the familiar faces around him, Luo Man was terrified. You know, this group of monsters were his subordinates not long ago, but now they have become puppets manipulated by that man. Just thinking about it, Luo Man was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Yi Junline raised the human emperor banner in his hand and joked, "Do I invite you in? Or do you go in by yourself? Choose one of the two." Luo Man said with grief and indignation, "You will be punished for this trip and this action. Juyu will never let you off easily." When Luo Man thought that he would be enslaved by the other party after death, he felt that life was worse than death. Instead of doing this, it is better to end it by yourself, and the soul will be destroyed, so that you can die decently. Having made up his mind, Luo Man's eyes flashed with determination, and he began to mobilize the holy source to self-destruct. Cracks appeared on the surface of his skin, and wielded a wisp of terrifying energy. Haha, you still want to self-destruct, did I give you this chance? Yi Junline had been prepared for a long time. He swung his sword with a power, and took his head in a flash. The whole process was so fast that it was unimaginable. This sword gathered all of Yi Junline's strength, and it had been planned for a long time. Luo Man was already in a decadent state, and he could not resist this sword at all. A lot of blood sprayed, and a head flew high. The expression on his face was full of astonishment, as if he did not expect this sword to be so fast and accurate. It is worth mentioning that even so, Luo Man did not die immediately, because his Shirachi also has the ability to heal himself. Even if he was chopped into meat paste, he could be restored to his original state, which is not inferior to the undead blood clan. However, this move caused Luo Man to temporarily lose the more precise control over his body, just like a high-speed gear that stopped a little. It was also because of this that the holy source that wanted to self-destruct was temporarily stopped. Taking advantage of this gap, Yi Junline launched a more fierce attack. Boom! The golden sword light reached the sky, and the sword energy penetrated the sky like a hurricane. In this destructive attack, Luo Man's body gradually collapsed and dissipated between heaven and earth bit by bit. Come in, Yi Junline raised the human emperor banner and shouted. In an instant, a wisp of dead soul was absorbed into it with a horrified look, and his eyes were full of extreme unwillingness. After a while, a slightly illusory figure surrounded by strange black air came out of the human emperor banner. His eyes were blood-red like a beast, cold and emotionless. The aura it exuded was the most powerful, making the surrounding soul slaves feel a little afraid. It was Luo Man transformed by the human emperor banner. Yi Junlin looked at the masterpiece in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. After all, he had seen Luo Man's ability. He was a top powerhouse in the ancient saint realm and had the same king-grade saint intention as him. Now that the heavenly court lacks decent high-end combat power, Luo Man's joining can effectively fill this gap. Collect. A clear shout. The soul slaves surrounding the surroundings, including Luo Man who had just come out, all rushed back into the human emperor banner. Rumble. The human emperor banner, which was blessed by a large number of soul slaves, released an extremely terrifying aura at this moment. The entire vast sky was extremely dark, the atmosphere was depressing and dull, and red lightning was constantly interweaving between the heavy dark clouds. The scene was terrible. This made Yi Junlin suddenly have an illusion that as long as he waved it a few times, he could kill a top ancient saint like Luo Man. This is the power of the human emperor banner. The more soul slaves collected, the stronger the power. If you are afraid of consuming too much of your own power when using it, you can also release all the soul slaves at once to act as a thug. After knowing what was going on, Yi Junlin put away his magic weapon. Soon, the dark clouds in the sky quickly dissipated, and the bright sunshine fell down. This tall and majestic figure was covered with a layer of dazzling halo, which made him look like a god. Countless people looked up blankly, in a daze. Everyone, those extraterritorial demons have been destroyed by the Emperor of Heaven, and our holy realm is out of danger. A young man reacted, excited, and tears filled his eyes, and shouted. Suddenly, more and more cultivators came to their senses, and after realizing that the crisis was over, they cried with joy and cheered. Countless creatures bowed down and worshipped Yi Junlin as a savior. The Emperor of Heaven is so powerful that he has no rivals in the starry sky. We won, ha ha ha, we won, thank you, great Emperor of Heaven, we dare not forget your kindness. Even the heavenly Tao was impressed by it. In order to help cheer him up, he deliberately created many auspicious images such as golden lotuses surging from the ground, flowers falling from the sky, purple air coming from the east, thousands of rays of light, and thousands of auspicious colors. For a time, the holy realm was boiling like the sea, and the whole world celebrated together. When Yi Junlin returned to the heavenly palace, everyone's expressions were full of excitement, even the kind of fanaticism that believers had encountered gods. They worshipped him so much that they were convinced. Under such a situation, he could still turn the situation around and win from defeat. This is incredible. Oh my god, I love you so much. Su Yingwo, the vixen, looked at the silver-haired young man who returned victoriously, and his beautiful eyes seemed to be full of little stars in the shape of hearts. He was full of super admiration, his heart was beating like a deer, and he wanted to throw himself into the other's arms. Seeing Yi Junlin showing his power and turning the tide, no woman could resist his charm. Li Ruotong was the same, breathing slightly faster, staring at Yi Junlin intently. That powerful and confident charm once again conquered her, an ego-like woman, and she couldn't keep calm at all. Emperor of Heaven, you are really good at hiding your strength. If we had known you were so powerful earlier, why would we worry about it before? A semi-saint said admiringly. How can you talk like that? This is called being low-key. Yes, this is called being low-key. Anyway, everything is under the control of the Emperor of Heaven. For this statement, all the cultivators were convinced. Lu Wangshu was full of emotion, and transmitted his voice. Friend Yi, you have given us a huge surprise. Now that the 9 Nether Legion has fallen into your hands, the power of my heavenly court will increase greatly. After this battle, no one dares to underestimate the Holy Realm. He saw with his own eyes that the dead 9 Nether Saints were summoned by Yi Junlin, and their strength was no different from when they were alive. In other words, the other party has 100,000 ancient saints, millions of heavenly saints, true saints, and half-saints in their hands. This is a terrifying force that can sweep across a medium-sized holy world. Who would have thought that the saints that Juyu had drawn out with great fanfare would end up being used by others? If the Juyu high-level officials knew the truth, wouldn't they be collectively so angry that they would vomit blood? After this battle, Lu Wangshu completely regarded Yi Junlin as the first evildoer who had never been seen before and never to be seen again. Even the 4 supremes of Kunlun realm at that time were far inferior to him. This incredible promotion speed and the endless means all indicate that the vast starry sky in the future will be respected by this person. I only need to assist him quietly to witness this unprecedented miracle. Yi Junlin smiled and said, you are right. The 9 Netherworld Legion is in my hands. I can summon them at any time. When the news of victory is passed on, I begin to wonder what the outside forces will look like, hee hee. Although he holds the 9 Netherworld Legion as the trump card, it does not mean that he can dominate the universe. After all, this force can only sweep across medium-sized holy worlds at most. Facing high-scale holy worlds, it is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot or an ant trying to shake a tree. Afterwards, Yi Junlin ordered the aftermath work, and the heavenly court began to send out teams to clean up the battlefield. The wreckage of the holy ship was scattered all over the ground, and there were many crashed war fortresses, which could be used for recycling and research. In this field of technology, the Holy Realm is at least several levels behind the outside world. Akun was not idle either. Taking advantage of this great opportunity, he devoured the corpses of many holy beasts, and then he became sleepy again and returned to the beast storage bag to fall asleep again. Because countless 9 Nether Saints fell this time, the Heavenly Tao also benefited greatly from it, absorbing a large amount of Holy Tao essence after death, which accelerated its perfection of the Holy Tao rules. The whole world grew wildly during this period, and the cultivation environment was almost comparable to that of a medium-sized Holy Tao world. It can be said that when the 9 Nether fell, the holy world was full, and when a whale fell, all things came to life. At the same time, a terrifying figure surrounded by demonic energy was secretly practicing in the endless abyss. Thinking of the gains of these days, Yu Washeng showed his white teeth. I really bet on the right thing. Now I just need to refine the bodies of those guys, and I can be promoted to the realm of ancient saints, and then find an opportunity to devour the heavenly Tao of this world and replace it. By then, I may be able to break through the Holy King. Yu Washeng felt more and more that he was getting closer and closer to his original bold idea. All this was thanks to that man. In return, once he gains power, he will definitely swallow it into his demon fetus and refine it, so that it will become the nourishment for him to reach the top of the starry sky. Chapter 700 The universe is shaken. Since the 9 Netherworld army attacked the Holy Realm with great momentum, it has attracted the attention of many cultivators from outside the domain. Because they were afraid of being involved, they did not dare to go forward to watch the battle, and could only observe the situation from a distance. Originally, it was thought that after the 9 Netherworld army entered the Holy Realm, this world would completely turn into a dead star and go to destruction. Who knew that after waiting for many days, there was no movement at all, the Holy Realm was still there, and the 9 Netherworld army had never come out since it entered. This is very strange. It's been so long, it's impossible that the winner hasn't been decided yet. A humanoid creature from outside the domain wondered. Yes, this is too abnormal. It stands to reason that the 9 Netherworld army can quickly flatten a small world like that and return triumphantly. Why hasn't it come out yet? Is there something wrong? The Tianzhao from another big world asked in surprise. Impossible, absolutely impossible. That's the evil level 9 Netherworld army. There are 6 figures of ancient saint level masters alone. How can a low-level world like the Holy Realm fight it? That's right. The so-called Lord of Heaven is at best just a powerful heavenly saint-level master. He is nothing in such a big scene. Ha ha ha, if the 9 Netherworld army loses, I will just stand upside down and eat shit. ... Gradually, controversy arose, and all the starry sky races were surprised by this strange phenomenon. According to everyone's cognition, the 9 Netherworld army's expedition to the Holy Realm this time is absolutely foolproof, and the Holy Realm will be destroyed without a doubt. But the 9 Netherworld army never returned, which really made the major forces feel terrified. The 9 Netherworld high-level officials were also a little panicked. They quickly used communication means to urgently contact the senior generals serving in the 9 Netherworld army to ask what happened. As a result, all of them fell into the sea and there was no news. In this regard, an ominous premonition came to my mind, and it became stronger and stronger. This matter can't be delayed any longer. We must send spies to sneak into the Holy Realm to find out what exactly caused my 9 Nether army to delay returning. Luo Wuliang, the patriarch of the 10 Nether clans, said with a grim face. You know, the commander-in-chief of the army who was in charge of leading the team this time was one of his trusted confidants, Luo Man. Luo Man was trained by him. He was unmatched in the realm of ancient saints and was loyal to him without any second thoughts. Luo Wuliang had issued a death order before, that is, to let Luo Man destroy the heavenly court and kill Yi Junlin, the lord of the heavenly court, to vent his anger for his daughter. Now, there has been no news, which makes Luo Wuliang confused and has an ominous premonition. He doesn't believe that Luo Man will betray him, let alone that Luo Man will die there. Therefore, in order to solve the mystery in his heart, Luo Wuliang decided to send spies to the Holy Realm to find out the situation. Just when he made this decision, the Holy Realm, which had been silent for many days, suddenly had new movements. What surprised the various races in the starry sky was that it was not the Nine Nether Army that did it, but the organization called Heaven. To be precise, it was a statement issued by the Lord of Heaven. At this time, a huge light screen appeared outside the Holy Realm, as if it was caused by some kind of formation as a medium. The background of the picture was heaven, and a silver-haired young man sat on the Emperor's throne, with one hand on his head, sitting casually and lazily, with a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. Everyone immediately recognized that this was the Lord of Heaven, the arrogant man who called himself Yi Tiandi. What's strange is that in the face of the Nine Nether Army's crusade, the other side is not only safe and sound, but also openly shows up at this critical moment. The information behind this is very huge. Everyone, you may be wondering why the Nine Nether Army that invaded my holy realm with great fanfare a while ago has disappeared. I can explain here that it's because they are all dead. You heard it right, all dead, not one left. The following is the spoils we captured. Take a good look. Does it look familiar? Haha. As he said, the scene changed, and it was all neatly arranged holy ship wreckage and damaged war fortresses. There were dense numbers of them, and the dried blood stains on them seemed to tell how tragic the previous battle was. Then, the scene returned to Yi Junlin again, and he said meaningfully, if anyone is still dissatisfied, you can come and trouble me. I, Yi Tiandi, will accompany you to the end. Anyway, I am invincible, you can do whatever you want. The clear voice, with a penetrating force, sounded in the starry sky through the blessing of some advanced formation. Even if it was separated by multiple star fields, this voice could be heard. After that, the picture darkened, and the light screen disappeared with a click. The starry sky was silent, and there was no sound. Countless creatures could not believe that this was true. The Juyu army was actually destroyed. The instigator was none other than the Lord of Heaven, who they had regarded as a joke before. When the truth came out, the monks living in various worlds were all shocked at this moment, and the emotions in their hearts could not be described in words. The whole universe was in a sensation. The starry sky trembled, and the world was shocked. How did those guys in heaven do it? This is impossible. This incident must be closely related to the Lord of Heaven. He is the culprit who destroyed the Nine Nether Core. It's too weird. We all misjudge the strength of the Holy Realm. This is not the ability of a small Holy Tao world. To be able to annihilate such a terrifying force, this is at least something that a large Holy Tao world can do. Many cultivators from outside the domain were shocked and speechless, thinking that the Heavenly Court was an unfathomable organization, and even had a sense of fear towards the Holy Realm. Because this world is simply a super graveyard, not long ago, a legion that made countless star forces tremble in fear was buried. Holy Martial Realm. There was an uproar in the hall. The facial muscles of Panlong Wusheng twitched fiercely, and he felt like he was slapped in the face. At the beginning, he didn't think highly of Yi Junlin at all, thinking that this boy had potential, but he was arrogant and would definitely die in this catastrophe. Unexpectedly, the development of things was beyond expectations. Not only was he alive and well, he also took the lead in destroying the Nine Nether Army. This made Panlong Wusheng, who had always been experienced in judgment, feel embarrassed all of a sudden. Among the disciples, Shang Jiba was stunned. He thought that the demise of the Holy Realm was a foregone conclusion, but who knew that there was a big reversal in the end? Fellow Taoist Yi, how did you do it? Shang Jiba murmured. He found that he still couldn't see through the man. The other party was as unfathomable as the starry sky. He was like a tiny ant, looking up at the vast starry sky. Suddenly, a complex gaze fell on him, and Shang Jiba looked up in shock, and found that it was Panlong Wusheng. Master, Master. Don't make a sound, you stay later and tell me all the details and process of your recognition of the Lord of the Heavenly Court. Panlong Wusheng secretly transmitted the voice. After this incident, he officially paid great attention to Yi Junlin, and he must understand it well. Yes, Shang Jiba had to nod and agree. At the same time, Juyu was greatly shocked. Angry roars sounded everywhere, and the creatures of all races were shocked and angry. You know, this legion has drawn many of their elite forces to form such a powerful super army. Now all of them have died in the Holy Realm. This is a painful loss for all the races in Juyu. The most important thing is that this is a great shame, enough to be nailed to the pillar of shame in the history of Juyu. In the palace, Luo Wuliang looked at Yi Junlin in the picture, who was careless and not only showed off the spoils he had seized, but also spoke shamelessly, which made him so angry that he almost vomited blood. Human race, you are looking for death. Luo Wuliang smashed the table and roared to the sky. Boom! A terrifying holy power spread like a tide in an instant, and the maids and guards in the palace knelt on the ground, trembling with cold sweat on their foreheads. Father, calm down. The eldest Prince Luo Yan knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice. His face was ugly, and his eyes were gloomy. He never expected the failure of the Juyu army. Even he couldn't figure out what the heavenly court relied on to destroy this legion. After all, how could there be such a considerable power in such a short time of rise? This is unreasonable. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula_tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix.